Welcome, welcome, welcome. Big up to everyone. 12th man is back. The Arsenal roundabout is on this evening and everyone is in the house. Lee Gunner is on his way. He's literally raided some of you over. So big up to you that have come and joined already. He's just finished up his watch along and he will be with us. There's no Agal tonight. I don't know where Agal is. I thought he might have not been well because he didn't look too well at the weekend. But apparently I'm being told that he has been doing streams and he's all good. I have sent him the link just in case. However, we've got Christian back and we've got DJ and we've got Kenny. Lee Gunner on his way. We're going to talk 4 questions tonight. That's what I've got for the panel. 4 questions. The first question is this: cult word. Does it exist? Is it a thing? Is it a load of rubbish? What do we think about that? We're going to be talking Andrea Berta. How much power does he now have of transfers? We're going to be talking about the captaincy at Arsenal. Do we need a new captain? Do we keep Martin Ødegaard as the captain? And we're also going to be talking about the minimum expectation of Mikel Arteta for 25-26. Now that we know he's staying, that's what we're going to be discussing. And to do that, I've got a great panel. Big up to everyone that's in the house. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe. Literally 8 or 9 days ago, we hit 40K. We're now hit 41K already, which is mad. So to get 1,000 subs in a week is mental. So you guys are absolutely amazing. So make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. Well over 300 of you nearly in here already, which is mad numbers. So make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button, people. If we can also support our sponsors for today, which is, of course, Football Prizes, who are back. Football Prizes for a brilliant prize. And this one, of course, is a proper Arsenal legend. Thierry Henry signed shirt. You can get in for it just for a ticket price of 99 pence. Make sure that you are here for it. There's a great opportunity for you guys to do this. I would absolutely love this behind me. Instead, I have got a great picture of Thierry Henry. It would be nice to have a shirt that was signed of him as well. So make sure you're in for this one, guys. Football Prizes is where it is at. You'll see it on my socials. There'll be a link in the description. Make sure you're following them. Make sure you go to footballprizes.co.uk. Go to competitions. There's loads on there, but this is the one that we're pushing because, well, we're all Gooners, ain't we? And I'm sure that the majority of you would absolutely love a signed Thierry Henry shirt. So let's make sure that we are supporting them because they show us a lot of love. So let's make sure that we show them some love back. Boys, how are we feeling? Christian, you good?
Good, man. Look, sorry I missed the last couple of weeks. Looks like I've been ducking some hard conversations, but I definitely haven't. But yeah, we were just chatting backstage. Look, it's been a disappointing season in general. I think we're all ready for a break, for a transfer window, for a refresh of the squad, a rebuild, if you want to call it. And yeah, just you know, people want to call us Netflix FC and talking about next season. That's the situation we're in again. We've got to hold it. You know, there's criticism there's reason to criticize. I'd still believe there is, you know, stuff to praise. There are positives. But on a whole, you know, more negatives. And yeah, we go again next season, man.
Yeah, we do. Well said. Big up to Guns in the house. Thanks for the raid, my bro. I hope you're well. And look, we're going to bring up some questions tonight and we're going to do things a little bit differently. I want this one answered first as a panel because I've got to be honest with you. I see Sophie Nicolau and Harry Simeon doing a show on the Highbury Squad about this. Oh, no, it wasn't on the Highbury Squad. Was it on the Highbury Squad? Or
no, it was on his channel.
And Twitter went mad. And look, I've got to say, I know Harry and Sophie very, very well. They won't mind me saying this. They are very, very pro what's been happening at the club, particularly Harry. Sophie at times has questioned it with myself and others. But Harry's very pro about what was happening at Arsenal. And I was really surprised by the amount of abuse that he got by literally posing a question. He wasn't even going one way or the other. I don't know if you watched any of it, Lee, but it was quite embarrassing, to be honest, to see X or Twitter or whatever the hell you want to call it blowing up over literally a question. So let's ask that question now and see if it blows up again, because I do not think there is anything wrong with asking this question. I don't think it's an offensive thing to say. I don't think it means it's one way or the other. It's got a question mark. People might think it's a load of BS. People might think there definitely is that. So that's to be discussed. So, Christian, the reason I started as you is because when I posed this, you kind of given me a bit of a smile. Do you think this is a real thing or do you think this is nonsense? Where do you sit with it, bro?
I think the word cult, like people use this about movies, right? Like some movies have a cult following. It's kind of like a word that's used when it's just like a really small group of people who are completely adamant that this is the right way. but the rest of the people aren't really into the thing or don't really support the thing. For me, it can't be a cult because I do feel like it's not a small portion of the fan base that supports Arteta. I think, and from what I feel when I go to the games, when I talk to friends, when I talk to other fans, I still think more of the fan base supports Arteta and believes in him and is Arteta in than Arteta out. So to pose, is it a cult following? Doesn't really make sense to me. I guess the reason I think that blows up on Twitter is because I think more of what gets pushed on Twitter and on social media is the negative stuff. If I go on my social media, I'm going to see more negative than positive because that's what goes viral. That's what gets views and clicks and numbers. If you go on YouTube, the fan cams and the reviews with the biggest numbers are usually the negative ones. And that's not just Arsenal. That's across all fan channels. Don't get me wrong. There are some positive opinions and positive things that get pushed, but the negativity does sell. So on Twitter, maybe it's a cult following because only a small amount of the positive stuff gets pushed. But for me and the feeling I get, I still think and believe that the majority of our fan base believes in this manager. So I don't think it's a cult within all of the fan base. Maybe online, it's a cult following.
Okay, let me come to DJ because I know that you see things very, very similarly to a couple of others who perhaps do believe that there's something going on here. Before you come in, I actually do believe there is genuine protection for this man, and I've never known anything like it. That's just my opinion. Some people disagree and think, no, I see a lot more people that hate on him. I was speaking to a gal at the weekend and he said, I get so much hate. I said, yep, so do I, bro. But he believes that there's a lot of hate that comes for the way of the Arteta ins, as people like to call it, as opposed to the Arteta out. So what do you make of this actual question? Do you think this is nonsense, or do you think there is something behind it?
Dan, there's two ways to put this. There's a fine line between cult and obsession. And I think a lot of the fans are obsessed by the manager. Absolutely obsessed by what he does, how he talks, how he comes across in the media, the teams he picks, his in-game management during games. They're obsessed by him. And when I mean by obsessed by him is that he cannot do anything wrong. He's brought this new dimension of Arsenal Football Club to everyone. It's the best they've ever seen. It's the best they've ever known. They've never witnessed anything like it. And when you've got that kind of obsession, it then can become a bit of a cult following. I believe, I'm a little bit heading towards Christian where it is a lot of online stuff and social media and that kind of stuff. And I get that. But you cannot deny that this man has a lot of protection than previous managers that have been successful before him. Wenger didn't get this much as obsession and following. They was handing him out very, very quickly when things started to go badly wrong. Whereas this man, things have gone badly wrong. Let's face it, we started a process with this guy. We was told to trust the process. And on the whole, the fans have trusted the process. But now there's a lot of facts whereby the process has failed. But still you've got this fan base that have totally obsessed by him, willing him to get things right. They want this man to get things right. And they're frightened to venture outside of the Arteta kind of world. They're frightened of what's on the other side. And when you've got all those things in place, there is kind of a cult about it. They're frightened that a new manager's going to come in and do better. They're frightened that a new manager's going to come in and change things. I mean, they're even now got Berta lined up, especially when they've got the managers saying, it's up to them upstairs. He's sort of more or less passing the responsibility. So a lot of the fan base now are actually already got it lined up that if things go wrong next season, they were all Berta's signings. Since he's been at the club, this has happened. So you can now sense all the things that are going to be said already. So again, it's diverted away from the manager. And I think, for me, is it a cult? I think it's more an obsession than a cult. Cult can be used for certain fans, but it is an obsession. It's a complete and utter obsession. And that obsession is eating into the core values of the football club, the history and everything. Because let's be honest, we should have won a trophy this season, and you can spin it any way you like. And I keep hearing about injuries and stuff like that. Yes, injuries play a part on certain aspects of the season. But I've got team lineups here of the team that went out against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. I've got team lineup of the team that went out against Manchester United in an FA Cup, a very poor Man United team, down to 10 men. There weren't really many problems with injuries then. So in big games, injuries have not affected him. When we beat Real Madrid, I didn't hear anyone talking about injuries then. I heard people saying about Champions League finals and booking hotels and flights. No one mentioned injuries then. Why would
anyone mention injuries if we won, though?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Well, what I'm trying to say is that injuries get mentioned now. Now the season's over and we haven't won no trophies. The manager's saying, injuries.
Surely if you mention injuries after a win like that, it makes it more impressive. We didn't have our best centre-back of the...
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, on the whole, injuries are being used as one of the main reasons why we didn't win.
Do you not think it's a valid reason? We've had 27 injuries.
It's a valid reason in certain games. I mean, if you go into a game and you're missing 3 or 4 players and you get beat, then you can say, well, yeah, we've had 4 or 5 players missing. But when you go into games and you've only got sort of 1 or 2 missing, then you've still got a good enough team to get across the line. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That's what I'm trying to say, you know. But getting back to the cult thing, it is obsessive. And I don't understand why you get so much protection. I don't understand why you can't criticise this manager. And I can't understand.
DJ, do you not think there's a reason, though?
Sorry?
Do you not think there's a reason he gets protection? Do you not think... Because Unai Emery didn't get this protection.
No.
People thought Unai Emery started football, didn't like it. This is where the word cults come from, because he's getting all this protection and he's getting all this. You can't say this and you can't say that, and perhaps this is why the word cult has come into it. Do you understand why he gets the protection?
Do I understand why?
I don't think he does. That's what we're saying.
Does no one understand why he gets the protection? Can no one here see the level of football that he's produced?
I'm waiting for my turn, but he never spoke over you.
Let's talk about this season on the level of football he's produced. I can name probably about 3 or 4 games where I've come out excited over a course of a season. And that to me is not the level of football that I expect a manager nearly 6 years into a job.
You say 3 or 4 games.
I expect to come out seeing more, being excited about more games of football than perhaps
both games against Real Madrid. Were you excited?
No, that's what I'm just saying. I can count probably on one hand how many games I've come out excited. Christian. But what I'm trying to say is, for a manager that's been...
I don't think that's genuine. I can count...
Okay, no, let me finish. Let me finish a minute. If a manager's been in a position for nearly 6 years, and I go to watch Arsenal football, I expect to come out pretty much every game I go to looking at where the improvements have been made, excited, buzzing. I don't expect to keep coming out of like the game against Leicester, Southampton, Brighton, West Ham, teams like this, and come out disappointed on a regular basis. I expect when a manager's been in place that length of time, I expect to see vast difference. And I've seen regression. I've seen regression on players. I've seen players out of form on a regular basis. I've seen players not performing on a regular basis this season. Martinelli, for one of them, top of the list. Trossard in and out. That's not what I expect to see when a manager's been in place for nearly 6 years. I expect to see performances pretty much 9 out of 10, not 3, 4, 5 out of 10. Real Madrid was one game, I'll give you that. Manchester City, Palace in the Carabao Cup. And then I'm really sort of scratching my head.
Or in Lisbon, 5-1.
Yeah,
PSV, 7-1.
Yeah. In the Champions League. Where's the Premiership? How many games have you seen in the Premiership where you've come out?
How many games have we lost in the league?
It's not about. It's not about. You said about the quality of
the same
football.
amount of games as Liverpool.
You're seeing about
the world at one point.
Yeah, but you're telling about the quality of football. You're not talking about the games won or lost.
It's situational. This season has been.
Why do you keep talking over him? He never spoke over you. It's not a cult.
I'm talking about the quality of football. But here you go. We're getting back to the cult. I've just made some comments about Arteta, and you've come straight in. So
there's do DJ every panel show, bro.
Let me just ask this.
That's what I'm saying.
If you guys want me to jump off and you want it all going on.
No, but that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Christian, I value your points. Listen, I value your points 100%. But do you understand where I'm coming from? I'm making my points about the football. I'm making my points about the football that I've seen, which has been crap this season. I'm gonna tell it straight. It's been crap. It's been absolutely crap. Yeah.
Let me ask this question then, because Christian obviously doesn't think it has been 4 or 5 games. I actually am with DJ on this one because I really enjoyed Sporting Lisbon away. I really enjoyed Palace and West Ham beating them by 5. I thought Man City beating them by 5 was good, and the Real Madrid games were good. But then I'm starting to struggle, Christian. But obviously you're not. I don't know. I didn't enjoy any of the ones we drew. I thought they were boring, if I'm honest with you. What are the other games that you can think at the top of your head? You go, do you know what? I was buzzing. I was really enjoying it. Rah. Because I'm struggling as well, if I'm honest, bro.
Nottingham Forest at home. I think we beat them 3-0. West Ham we beat. I think we scored 5 against away.
Yeah.
There's other games in the league. I could get the games up and go through the games. We've only lost 4 games this season. Don't get me wrong. The draws have been disappointing.
Yeah.
I just don't. I agree with a lot of DJ's points. I'm not saying it's perfect and he's the best manager in the world and there's no problems. Of course there is. It's been a tough season. I actually said more negatives than positives, but it's been disappointing by the standard he set. 3 or 4 years ago, we were battling it out, scrapping out for top 4. We would have done anything for Champions League football. Spurs beat us to top 4. We finished 5th. They finished a point above us. Now we're finishing 2nd and we're so disappointed. We've got no one really cares that we've got Champions League football because we didn't win the league. So those are the standards we've set. So when I say there are positives and people say there's no positives, of course there are. We're now, we guarantee Champions League football. We're finishing 2nd in the Premier League, which is the best, in my opinion, the best league in the world, the highest standard of football in the world. We're 2nd. We're the 2nd in the best league in the world. For me, that's not throw this manager out. He's dreadful. There's a bigger picture. Yes, I understand. People are disappointed. There hasn't been a trophy in 5 years. But the bigger picture is he's taken us from, finishing 8th, not challenging for titles, not challenging in the Champions League, not even being in the Champions League, praying for a Europa League, praying for miracles to get us anywhere, to where he's taken us to now with situational, points as well, with injuries.
But don't you think, Christian,
hasn't actually? People want to talk about the money he spent. He hasn't been back.
Don't you think, Christian? Don't you think, Christian, that the scary thing about what you said is that people are looking at what he's done in the past, but can't actually find a way of what he's going to do from now on and what he should have done this season? Because you're saying, he's taken us from here and he's taken us from there, as if we've been like Southampton, and he's done this miraculously brilliant thing. But don't you think now it's time to sort of look at actually what he's been doing in the last sort of this season, for example? I mean, what has he been? How has it gone so badly? Because it's gone badly. Let's be honest. It's not been brilliant, has it? So how has he gone from being this, in your eyes, this manager that's done all these wonderful things? Can't you see that it's regressed this season under this manager?
It's regressed, but because of injuries and because of lack of backing in the summer and in January. I truly believe if we had an extra player or two in the summer and we backed him in January with an extra player, maybe even one player, like Aston Villa did to their manager, like pretty much every other club in the league, apart from, well, even Man United bought a player in January, apart from us.
So you don't
came out and said we need.
You don't think it had anything to do with Arteta, the fact that he never went out and signed a striker and bought a defensive midfield player and a centre half?
You think that it's up to him? Every transfer that comes in is up to him. All the money gets spent is up to him. I would say he's had a strong. Before Berta came on the scene, I would say that he had a lot of say in what came into the club. So when he came out in the summer and said we're short going into the season, we had to sell players that we didn't necessarily
want to sell, the opportunity. See, the thing is, right, it's not rocket science, is it? When you finish 2 points behind Manchester City, and you know that you need to strengthen in a certain area to make you going into the next season even stronger, and the board come to you and say, right, you've got XYZ amount of pounds. Where do you think we need to strengthen? Because he's the manager. So they're going to ask, where do you think we need to strengthen? And he goes, I know what. Let's go get a defensive midfield player and a centre half and play him at left back.
So you think if he wanted to spend 90, 100 million in the summer on a striker, he could have?
I think he had the opportunity to sign a striker.
So why do you also think they spent no money in January?
Because
when
I don't
he came out and said, I
don't think he had the money in January, because I don't think the owners trusted him until a sporting director was in place to handle affairs in January. I think that I'll agree with you with that. I think they turned around to him and said, no, you're not having anything more now. We need a sporting director in place. Okay. You've had XYZ amount of pounds. This is the situation.
We'll come to that because that's another question I've got for you. But I'm conscious I haven't let Kenny and Lee jump in first. Before I do that, sorry, DJ.
No, it's all right, man. That's fine.
Let me just bring these up very quickly. We've got Dai, who's a new member. Big up to you, my bro. Thank you so much for becoming a new member. If you'd like to do that, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and then join. We've got ESEK says they defend Arteta like he is their daddy. Obviously, he agrees with that there is a cult. We've got Kamal who says Arteta, ardent religious tribe, endlessly trusting Arteta. What more can I say than on this? Wow, he's actually spelt it out like that, has he? Wow, big up to you, bro. Amir says, not to be rude, but Lee, you speak over them as well. We'll come on to that. Like Lee was only just making a point. Eric says, to answer this question, two factors come into play: age range of Arsenal's fan base today and the social media manipulation that exists today. They all grew up watching Arsenal when the levels were low. Big up to you. Miles says, 8th to 2nd is still no trophy. Why aren't we holding Arteta to the same standard as we did Arsene Wenger at the end? That is a great question. Look, I want to say that there is a poll. Because, we can have our say, but we want to get you guys and listeners involved as well on this Arteta cult deal. And 87% believe that there is a cult, which is crazy. Only 13% believe no, there is not. Kenny, thoughts on this, mate? Go for it.
Mate, I was just a bit thirsty, but you know what? Oscar Wilde and Mark Twain said the truest thing ever. Before the truth puts his trousers on, a lie will travel 1,000,000 miles. And that's exactly what we're getting right now. Is that the reason why there's a cult with this football club was exemplified at the Union Chapel. All those guys who are on that panel have got access to the football club. They get access to press conferences. Some of them in the audience get access to press conferences. And what the club do is they control the narrative regarding this manager. That's a fact. Because what they do, they give you a little bit of access and they show you what they want you to see. And basically, the message you have to cultivate to the masses is, don't worry, Mikel's still the right man for the job. Mikel's doing a great job. We're going to get so many players in that we're going to get a striker in. Don't you worry. Look at the players. They're really happy. And then once you get your access, and you're outside the circle of trust, what they ask you to do is go and now relate to the masses. So it's not actually a cult. What it is controlled opinion from the club. And I'm sorry about it, Dan and Christian, you go on that channel where some of the people on AFTV have had access to Edu. So because you've had access to Edu, I'm not saying used to, had access to Edu, you wouldn't get access to the Edu and members of the football club and the odd, hi Saka, how you doing? Or access to Martin Keown's of the world, or your Paul Merson's, or your accesses to your Ray Parlour, if you were not promoting the football club. I know this game. All right. I know exactly what you lot are doing. And because you're getting access to the club and you're doing the club's bidding, you're basically trying to control public opinion. So basically what I say to all you guys is don't sit in your hands and moan about, oh, Arteta. Don't just rely on social media and going on your Twitter or your YouTube channels. Talk Sports there. 5 Live's there. Sky Sports there. How about you get off your arses and phone up and say what's really going on. Tell them you're not happy for not winning a trophy in 6 years. Tell them that all this garbage about, oh, look where Arteta took us from there before. And why don't you just tell them on Talk Sport, you expect that from Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal Football Club should be challenging for the title. Arsenal Football Club should be second in the table occasionally. Arsenal Football Club should be difficult to beat. It's not a big deal. You're Arsenal Football Club. You're the third biggest club in the country, and you're celebrating the sort of achievements that you expect from a big club. But at the end of the day, Arsenal Football Club have to win trophies every season, whether you like it or not. It's not about processes or progress. If you want to go about progress, feel free. But I'll tell you one thing now. Liverpool won the title 3 weeks ago. So this 83 points that you're laughing at them about, they didn't have to get 90 points because they already sealed the deal on the 27th of April. That's what the club don't want you to see. The club are relying on the Champions League in order to bury bad news and paper over the massive cracks of this season. And when it didn't happen, and then we lost against Bournemouth, and we couldn't beat Liverpool. Guess what happens? Union Chapel. All of the guys. Do you want to go get a ticket to see Uncle Clive speak and Andrew from Dublin speak? Yeah, I'll go there. Oh, Mick Arteta's out. That was just to bury. But I know this game is because the natives are restless. People are thinking, oh no, it's another year without a trophy. We want some people are saying we got a new sporting director, we got a new season, we get a new players. So basically, they don't want the natives to say, how about getting a new manager? They don't want that. And this is where you lot come in, where your channel, AFTV, especially Lyle, and all the other people that go on these little tours where Edu attends, all these other guys who are basically media lovies, who basically have access to the football club. And because they've got access to the football club, they're doing the football club's bidding in order to present a positive picture and basically tell people like me to shut up, be grateful, and if you don't like it, go and support Tottenham. Well, I'm not going to go and support Tottenham. I supported Arsenal since I was born. I was born and bred in Islington. Tottenham are my enemies. They're the only club I hate. I don't hate Man United. I don't hate Liverpool. But anyone else, it's Spurs I hate. But one thing I won't settle for is I'm not going to be told that this has been a great season. It hasn't been a great season.
No.
We finished way below Liverpool. We were at the actual, target this season was not the Champions League. It was the league, and we failed miserably. We failed miserably because we were not good enough. We were not good enough before we had the injuries. We thought that if we got through our really difficult fixtures, i.e. Spurs away, Aston Villa away, Man City away, Liverpool at home, then that would lead us to a charge for the title. And it never happened because at home, we found it difficult to beat teams we should be thrashing, i.e. Leicester and Southampton. We beat them, but it was a turgid play. And it worked. And then we started to drop points. And then we started to lose games. And then that was the title gone. We will never, ever, ever in this title race. And everyone in this panel knows it, including the people who make excuses for injuries. Injuries happen to everybody. But the top teams still challenge for titles. The top teams still win titles. They still win trophies without their best players. Let's not forget, you were not talking about your best player when we were thrashing Man City 5-1. You were not talking about your best player when we beat PSV 7-1. There was no excuses then. It was like, oh, let's fasten our seatbelts. This has been a great season. And people like myself were getting criticised and saying that we hate the fact that Arsenal are doing well because we have an agenda. Well, I'm sorry. Football's about facts. And the facts are, Mick Arteta has had 6 years to win a trophy and he's only won one trophy. That's a fact. Now, a lot of people saying, how do you know another manager is not going to is going to do better than Mikel? How do you know the next manager is going to get the players and have success? That's a fact. We don't know. But what I do know is this manager is past his sale-by date. He's had 6 years and the players need a new voice. And that it's no good having a new manager, new sporting director, new players, a new season without a new coach or new team manager. Don't go halfway. You either want to go into a new era or you don't. If you don't want to go into a new era, then leave the status quo and let's see if this manager can win us trophies. But I can tell you now, from what I've seen, it's not going to happen. We're going to go the full 9 years without silverware, just like we did under Arsene Wenger.
Well, Kenny, might drop moment from you, my bro. Before I come to Lee, because I want to get Lee's opinion on this and I want to move to the next question after Lee has spoken. And if anyone wants to come back on Lee's question, they can. Let me just do a couple of these which have come in. Suj, big up to you. There's actually 2.5k in here now, which is mad. So make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button, people. Make sure you hit those likes up. We've only got 422. Let's hit 1,000 likes tonight. Come on, I'm feeling like we can do it. Big up Dan, panel and community. Over 2.5k in here now. We need to be here on the likes. Come on, people. Let's acknowledge the hard work. Thank you so much, Suj. You're always here as a regular and a super chat as always. Thank you so much. James, big up to you. Says Mikel should have gone to Everton first to cut his teeth before going to Arsenal. He's just as much a student of Moyes as he is of Pep. There we go. Big up to you, James. Again, always in here. James has also said Moyes is always one winger short. Arteta had followed suit. Instead of having no right winger, he's no left winger outside of Martinelli's single good season. He does what he knows from who he learned from. Wow, that's mad. I never thought see it like that. Look, Lee, let me come to you. And before I do, Christian may have different opinions. Igal may have different opinions. Let's just keep it respectful in the chat, please, people. Otherwise, you'll get booted out. Because look, we're not telling Christian out.
He's the cult leader.
we're not telling Christian how to support his football club. Christian's not telling us how to support the football club. We may see things differently, but we actually get on pretty well. So let's grow up and be adults, shall we? Thank you, Lee. Let's go, mate. Go on.
All right, cult-like behavior encompasses practices and characteristics. So I'll get my words out in a minute. I've only had a couple of beers. Get this guy a beer. Found in groups that exert excessive control over their members' lives, thoughts, and emotions. These groups often involve manipulation, isolation, and suppression of critical thinking. Sounds familiar. In service of a charismatic leader and or ideology. Anyway, let's carry on. Key characteristics of a cult-like behavior include control. Absolute authority is held by the leader, with little to no accountability or tolerance for dissenting opinions. That sounds like our manager. Isolation and manipulation. Members are often isolated from friends and or family and manipulated through emotional and or psychological tactics to maintain their loyalty to the leader. Inappropriate loyalty. Members are expected to demonstrate unwavering loyalty to the leader and or the group, often to the detriment of personal relationships and individual autonomy. Suppression of critical thinking. Dissenting opinions and questions are discouraged and or punished, fostering a cult of personality around the leader, often shut down other people's critical thinking. Financial exploitation, obviously, we buy the shirt. Well, you buy the shirts. Financial resources are often controlled by the leader and may be misused. Funny that, and or exploited for personal gain. Oh, he's on 15 million a year, guys. Irrational fears and beliefs. Members are often instilled with irrational fears Who could do better? Nobody else could do better. That's a fear of losing this manager. Anyway, about the outside world and encouraged to believe in extreme and or outlandish ideas. Let me carry on to this next article that I've seen as well, because this explains how this Arteta love fest is a cult, and he is the cult leader. So, a cult is an organized group whose purpose is to dominate cult members through psychological manipulation and pressure strategies. Wow, sounds like our manager. Cults are usually headed by a powerful leader who isolates members from the rest of society. Let's carry on. Some individuals who join cults remain lifelong members. Others break free, like us. We break free, guys. Got to break free. But there are also some individuals who leave a cult and report that their experience was positive. Studying cults is different for a few different reasons. It's nearly impossible to study active cult members due to their unwillingness to let others into their closed societies. Quite often, they are suspicious of outsiders. Funny that, they talk over us every time. Anyway, let's carry on. How to recognize a cult. Sometimes individuals disagree about whether a group, such as a certain religious group, stroke football club in this case, member, is actually a cult. Even researchers sometimes can't agree on what constitutes a cult. Most people can agree that cults have a leader. The leader and the leader or the group of people who serve as leaders is responsible for the rules that guide the members. According to the Cult Education Institute, yeah, see, I do my research on this. I do my Googles, mate. There are specific warning signs to look out for when considering whether a group might be a cult. They are characterized by these things: absolute authoritarianism without accountability, zero tolerance for criticism or questions. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Lack of meaningful financial disclosure regarding budget. Oh, but he didn't go with his players. The ball didn't back him. Cool. Unreasonable fears about the outside world that often involve evil conspiracies and or perceptions. Wow, sounds familiar.
There's no one else.
Yeah. A belief that the former followers are always wrong. For leaving, and there is never a legitimate reason for anyone else to leave. Abuse of members. Well, guys, we didn't hear you guys. You need to be louder in the stadium, guys. This is a disgrace, guys. Because you guys didn't back us, guys, that's why we lost. We need more people screaming and shouting in the stadium, guys. He said that multiple times since he's been here. Let's carry on. Followers feeling they're never able to be good enough. Well, maybe we can dismiss that one because that's not true in this case. A belief that the leader is right at all times. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Man's disappeared. Yeah, he knows this is true. A belief that the leader is the exclusive meaning of knowing, i.e. truth, or giving validation. Cults are dangerous because they typically rely on deceptive and authoritarian practices to make members dependent on and obedient to the group. Cults often cut members off from other forms of social and financial support and pose both physical and psychological risks to members of the group. Why people join cults? To those on the outside, it can be difficult to understand why anyone would join a cult. Researchers have found there are several reasons as to why they would join a cult. They don't know they're joining a cult, number one. Most individuals don't recognize the group they are joining is considered a cult. Individuals who are attracted to groups that are considered cults may have certain vulnerabilities that make them more likely to join, such as anxiety, or substance abuse. Oh, okay, let's carry on. They have unresolved insecurities. Another study found that many cult members experience attached insecurity prior to joining a cult. Their insecurities may drive them towards a group that promises acceptance. But guys, without you guys, We would not be able to do this, guys. We need a 12th man here, guys. We need you guys, the energy, guys, with the light bulbs. Now, 60,000 fans in the stadium. We feel something. We need the energy, guys. Cool. Carry on.
I
Anyway.
don't get what's going on here, Lee.
I haven't finished yet. So when I do, you can ask.
Is this an English lesson? What the hell's going on?
I was asked about whether it's a cult or not. So I'm reading out what the meaning of a cult is.
Want your opinion, not some Wikipedia.
It's my opinion. Thank you. It's my opinion based off of this. So when I finish, you can come back at me. This is why some people suspect that cult members are brainwashed.
People not allowed to back their team. Be positive.
I never said that. You can have your say and do what you want in a second, my friend. I'm saying my thing. But again, cult members don't like outside noise, do they? Because I just said that a minute ago, because that's one of the traits of being a cult member.
I think there's more of an Arteta out cult that you're part of. Anyway,
and there is some science behind the idea that they've been brainwashed, as members are often told they are being persecuted by people outside of the group. They're manipulated into joining. The other major theory about why individuals remain in cults is mostly psychological. Cult leaders often promise to reward members in some way. Guys, you need to stick with us because we're so close to winning, guys. It's so close. Look at the points, guys. We're so close. He's convincing you we're going to win. Yeah, you're going to get something out of it, guys, if you stick with him, guys. Anyway, let's go. Some people believe those involved are more like victims rather than members. Since they are often subjected to psychological manipulation tactics that lure them into making unhealthy decisions. Getting out of a cult can be quite difficult. Some members don't have contact with the outside world, outside of the cult. So it can be nearly impossible to get out. Obviously, we're using this in football terms, so that's different in other terms. Anyway, I could carry on, and it goes on forever and ever, and it gives examples of famous quotes from people that have been in cults, so on and so forth. We won't go down that route because we'll be here forever. However, that sounds exactly like Super Duper Mick. You're so close to getting something out of protecting my legacy at this football club. You're guys, without you guys, I couldn't have achieved second place. Last season, guys, he stood on the pitch, guys. We demand more, guys. Don't accept second place, guys. We demand very much more, and it's coming, guys. I can sense it, guys. We're very close, guys. This year, I have a dream. Nobody, guys, with one injury, guys, could have done what I've done, let alone the circumstances, the context we play in, guys. I see teams that have one injury, they finish 16th, 17th, 15th, 8th. And those guys upstairs, guys, yeah, it's now up to them to do what's required, guys. 700 million quid deep. Yeah, 20k people walked out the stadium yesterday. The end is nigh, my friend. Yeah, and guess what? It's what it is, isn't it? Every single thing he is doing is a cult-like trait. Bamboozling, brainwashing, lying, no accountability. Anyone that goes against him, he's indirectly telling you, shut your mouth. Says it on the pitch the other day. Anybody else, guys, just, oh my God, I cannot believe it. Nobody else could have done this job, guys. Yes, they fucking could, mate. Yeah, because when you had one injury to Timber last season, yeah, and no red cards, you didn't win it. The season before, when you only really had Saliba out for the last 10 games, yeah, and 8 points clear, you didn't win it. So I don't want to hear any excuses at all. The fact that people in that stadium yesterday, and I've got the videos of it because people were emailing me. They have people saying, fuck off, booing, get out of here, fuck him. 20,000 people marching out. I've got that video. Yeah, going up towards the bridge. Yeah, the fact that people have had enough. The fact that only Kieran Tierney was the only player that clapped when his name was. Now we're going to hear from our manager, Mikel Arteta. The only player that clapped out of that whole group was Kieran fucking Tierney. That tells you all you need to know. Yeah, and that's been the worst treated player at this football club since he's been here. I'll shut up now.
Well, look, I agree with that. I've always been a fan of Kieran Tierney, and I thought it was class that he got the reception he deserved personally. And I will say that. Look, I'll come to Christian quickly because I know you're probably out of everyone the one that was sort of disagreeing with some of the stuff he says, and then we'll move to the next question, man, because we do need to move from the topic. What do you want to say from that, Christian?
I ain't got much to say, man. Look, I get it. I understand the points. If you want to read Wikipedia, cult, what it means, cool. It just sounds like I can't be told how to feel. It annoys me when people say your opinion is invalid. I support the manager. I support this team. I see what's been built. I think we've been unlucky. I think injuries this season. the narrative that people are only positive because of what the club is making them feel, because what they want to say on social media is ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. I was going to the Emirates when I was 14 years old and watching us play some dreadful football, watching players that I hated. Don't get me wrong, Arsene Wenger, Arsenal legend. But at one point, I didn't enjoy going to the Emirates. In the last 2, 3, 4 years, I've started to enjoy it again. I've started to love this club again. And that's what Mikel was brought to us. So you can talk about cult however you want. For me, I'm in love with this club again. I love watching Arsenal. I'm excited to watch Arsenal again. We haven't got over the line. That's a different conversation. But you can't tell people that enjoy watching their team and love their team and support their team that they're only doing it because they're intoxicated by the club, because they're being brainwashed. You can't say that to people. You're allowed to enjoy your team and be positive. It's mad that this narrative that people are only positive for a certain reason is even there. We literally beat Real Madrid 5-1 in the Champions League. Like, if you can't see positives that this manager has brought, then I question your ball knowledge. For real, I really do. Especially watching where we were, especially looking at where other teams are that have spent more money than us, that have invested more than us. Doesn't make sense to me, man.
Okay, let me come back on that. Yeah, you said where we was. Yeah, you said where we was. Yeah, look at where we was in 2015. We finished on 75 points and won an FA Cup. This manager's won fuck all this season and can only get 74. Now, in 2017, we finished on 75
without
points.
Injuries this season,
How many injuries did we have in 2015?
I don't know about 2000.
No, you don't know.
You expect me to know off the top of my head how many injuries we had? I don't know.
You said you was going, so surely you'd know, right?
I was going. I don't remember how many injuries. If you asked me in 10 years how many injuries you had this season, I won't remember.
Okay, so what you're saying?
We wouldn't have finished on 74 points this season if we didn't have 27 injuries. I'll tell you that.
Okay, how many injuries? Yeah, how many injuries have Barcelona had this season? They've done a domestic treble and got a Champions League semi.
About La Liga, I watch Arsenal.
Well, football's the same in every country, mate. It's the same it's the same premise, the same aims. Yeah, it's the same.
Barcelona got the best player in the world playing right wing.
Okay, fantastic. Okay,
Ballon d'Or winner playing up front.
Okay.
Hold up. Stayed fit the whole season. Also, could be a Ballon d'Or.
Who's been fit all season?
Rafinha.
Rafinha's been fit all season. Cool. What about the goalkeeper then? Because they got to Stegen. Where would you rank him before his injury?
The Barcelona fans hate ter Stegen. They want Chesney.
I never asked you that. I said, where would you rank him as a goalkeeper?
I don't watch La Liga enough to rank him.
Well, thank you. So let me tell you, they brought Chesney out of retirement. Yeah. Because their goalkeeper was out all season. Okay, fantastic. Hold up. Yeah, they've had two of their DMs. There are only two DMs out.
I don't know why we're talking about La Liga.
No, because we're talking about injuries. So if you want to talk about injuries,
in the Premier League, then.
Okay.
Premier League. Give me an example of a team that have won the league with the amount of injuries that we have.
Won the league with the amount of injuries that we've had.
We had 27 injuries last season. We would have won the league.
Are you mad? Are you mad? What about when we had one injury last season and didn't win fuck all? How about that?
Because Manchester City were better than us.
Okay, so now, what about the season before then, when we only had really one major injury?
We weren't expected to win it at all, and we got 84
points.
Well,
guess what? Crystal Palace weren't expected to win the cup. Don't mean you can't do it, can it? You can get it done.
They're a better team than Arsenal.
No, Crystal Palace have won a trophy this season. We've won nothing.
Oh, I understand that. Are they a better team than Arsenal?
Well, they went unbeaten in the FA Cup, so we ain't done.
Arsenal, yes or no?
Well, they've won a trophy. They completed the aim of the game.
The question, you know the answer. So.
Are they a better team in the FA Cup? Yes. In the FA Cup, yes. And do you know what the maddest thing is, Christian? Yeah? When you stop looking at the league table as a metric for progress and success, yeah, you'll realise that if you don't win, you've lost. Yeah, one team wins the league. Yeah, and when people are sitting there giving it to Bertie yesterday, I see AFTV deleted their tweet. Why? Because I quote tweeted them and fucking mudded them. Yeah, because Tiki Taka twat posting out again. Oh, look, the last 2 seasons, we've got more. Oh, now Liverpool factually can't get more points than us. Cool. They only have to do what the competition tells them to do. The competition was awful this season. If Liverpool had to go and get 93 points, they would. Guess what? Blackburn in 95 got 89 points. Man United got 91 points under Fergie. That was before we got 90 in Invincible season. Now, guess what? Yeah, Conte got 93 points. Why? Because Poch was pushing him. Why did Liverpool, Man City get 100? Why? Because they were, not 100. Why did they get 98 points, Man City? Why? Because Liverpool were pushing them. If nobody is pushing you, you don't have to keep the gas on. Yeah? I don't think people understand that. And the difference between finishing, and DJB, I'll quote you on this, what is the difference between 2nd and 17th? It's a day out in midweek. Yeah. And a season ticket 6% or 4% price increase this season, because we're going to both also all of us are going to sit there tomorrow. I'm not wrong. We don't need opinions on it, Christian. They handed out trophies 150 years ago to the team that wins, not the team that put the pressure on, not the team. Oh, but they had injuries. Nobody cares about your injuries, mate. Every team gets injuries.
You don't want to go and watch Arsenal every week and watch us play 17th level football.
Bro, guess what? We finished 10th and we won a cup double. Nobody fucking cared we finished 10th. Why? Because we won 2 trophies. Nobody cared, mate. Where did we finish? We finished 12th the following season, didn't we?
17th is not the of course.
No, and this is my point, and that is what comes back to what I just said. Finishing 10th and finishing 17th, and that brings it back to exactly what I just said a minute ago. Finishing 10th and finishing 17th are 2 totally different things. No, they're not. You just lost by less league positions, my friend.
Second and 17th.
Yeah, you still lost.
Let me bring this in. Let me bring this one.
You still lost.
1 second, Lee. Let me.
We all start. Sorry, Dan. Let me just land on this point. I'm going for a piss anyway. Right. We will start the season again after this last game of the season on Sunday. The season restarts itself on 0. You all start on 0 again. There's no progress, fella. You all lost. You all have another go and try and see if you can win the league. If you don't, it starts again on 0 the next season, and you go again. So if you can't win the league, and Tottenham and Man U knew that from the get-go, yeah, then go another go in the cups. Crystal Palace know they can't win the league, yeah, because they don't invest enough money and they don't do what's required. So what they do, they had to go in the cup, and they did it unbeaten this season, only conceding 1 goal. Fair play. Newcastle absolutely walloped us, yeah, and went and won the cup. Yeah, we should be sitting there as a fan base fuming that weren't us playing Liverpool in that cup final. That shouldn't have been Newcastle, respectfully. Yeah, it should have been us. However, they fully deserve to go and win that cup. Why? Because they know they can't win the league right now. Yeah, so they took the cup serious. Yeah, Tottenham took that cup serious. Yeah, Man United are invincible so far in that cup. And we've all got to sit there tomorrow and watch Tottenham or Man United win that cup, which qualifies them for the Super Cup and the Champions League, which, by the way, is the competition we're in. Now, they've got a nice shiny trophy to go with it and an opportunity to beat the Champions League winner in another one. What would you rather? Yeah, because everyone's going to school them. Oh, you finished 15th, 17th. Do you think they fucking care? No, because neither would I.
I think they do, man.
It's a trophy. They
really
don't care.
They do.
Let me bring this in.
Man United, who are literally saying, doesn't matter if we win the Europa League, there's still been a dreadful season. People still want the manager out. You think genuinely, you think
Manchester almost like they got more accountability.
They go, the whole season's been a success. Don't worry about everything. Yeah, we're 16th in the league, but don't worry, we've got a Europa. Did you genuinely think United fans will sit there tomorrow and say that if they win the Europa League?
They might be a shit. They'll all be celebrating.
People that go week in, week out. People that
Saeed and Expressions, yeah, and Percy.
They'll be shameless, of course.
Yeah, all in Bilbao. What do you mean shameless?
About the situation they're
shameless. How is it shameless? Completing the aim of the sport, bruv.
Because they know the situation that their club's in.
Okay, so you're telling. Okay, so let me ask you this then, because what you're telling me,
Premier League.
Okay, so what you're telling me then, yeah, is that both of them clubs, even if they win that, you're saying from what you see, they want their manager sacked, yeah?
Maybe not United.
Pretty much.
Only had 6 months, but a lot of Tottenham fans, yeah.
Okay, so it's almost like Tottenham have got more accountability and more standards than we have, even if they win it.
17th, mate.
Nobody cares. They won fuck all if they lose, same as us.
Lee, they're 17th in the league, man. What are you talking about?
Nobody cares. The league starts again on 0 in August, Christian.
I live with a Tottenham fan. You think I don't see him every single week when he comes home sad and his weekend's ruined for the past year? Of course he cares, mate.
Have a look at his face on Wednesday if he wins it then. Have a look what he does Wednesday if he wins it, your mate.
Yeah, what, he's going to have a good night? Or good
absolutely. Better night.
Bit like you against Real Madrid.
Can I just come in? We're talking about injuries. When we played Newcastle at home in the first leg of the Carabao Cup, I know you want to move on, but our lineup was Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Skelly, Odegaard, Rice, Havertz, Martinelli, Trossard, Partey. On the bench, Jesus, Zinni, Jorginho. There was no Saka. So you're telling me that injuries had a big part to play on that dreadful performance when we lost 2-0 against Newcastle?
Have you got the stats for that game? I was at that game.
The only stat I'm interested in is that we lost 2-0.
Did we get battered? 2-0. They're dreadful.
We lost 2-0, right? What I'm trying to say is that team now, under this manager after 5 years, should have got across the line in that first leg of the Carabao Cup at home against Newcastle with that team. Then when we played Man United in the FA Cup, Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Skelly, Odegaard, Jorginho, Marino, Jesus, Havertz, Martinelli. He rotated a few players because he had Rice, Partey, Trossard, Sterling and Tierney on the bench. The only player missing through injury, really, that would have played was Saka against a Man United team that, by the way, is in 17th, 18th, that have been terrible. 10 men, and we lost. We got knocked out. Where did the injuries come into play on them then? Why didn't we get across the line with them with that squad that we started with?
If you want to talk about the Newcastle game, personally, I think we're the better team in that first leg.
Yeah, but we lost.
I've actually got the stats here. Yeah, we lost because our problem is finishing chances. We haven't got
no stats all day long. And then what I'm saying is that everyone's quick to say about injuries. And I said at the start of the stream, I understand if we had in that game against Newcastle, Saliba missing, Gabriel missing, Odegaard missing, Martinelli missing, then I could probably say, oh, we had 4 or 5 players missing in that game. Understandably, that's probably may have had an effect on the game while we lost. But when you're going out with that lineup, his team, and you lose 2-0 against Newcastle in the first leg with that team, injuries ain't really played a part in that, really. And then the Arsenal Man United game.
Did 90% of the fan base?
When I've read the team out and the bench, which is a strong bench, Rice, Partey, Trossard, strong bench. The only player missing is Saka, and yet in the FA Cup against Man United, we got knocked out. So where is the injuries on those 2 games that we're going for a major trophy that we haven't won in 5 years? Where has the injuries played a part in them games? Surely in big games, that's down to the manager.
On our left winger. Do we not say that?
Where was the injuries? Where was the injuries against PSG? Where was the major concern injuries against PSG? Kai Havertz,
Gabriel.
Okay. Yeah, but we was all gassing up Kivior against his performance against Real Madrid, and rightly so.
Yeah, who coached Kivior to have to perform how he performed against Real Madrid over 2 legs?
Okay, so if he's been coached to that standard and he's in the team, and rightly so, against PSG with the lineup we went against PSG, and we was only missing Gabriel and Havertz. Why over a 2-legged semi-final was he unable to get across the line?
Was it big margins?
Sorry?
Were there big margins between us and PSG?
Yeah.
It was 1-0 in the first leg.
Big margins. You're going on score. I'm going by the play. We were
probably a better team. We weren't identical.
PSG again, but what I'm trying to say is I'm just highlighting, because people say about injuries, but in the major competitions this season, i.e. the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, PSG, there hasn't been a long list of 3, 4, 5 key players out at any one time. So why have we struggled to get across the line?
Because
it's down to the in-game management of this manager failing to be brave, take chances, change the tactics. And one of the reasons why PSG is that you got Thomas Partey taking long throw-ins. You had David Raya pumping it Wimbledon style, crazy gang style, 30, 40 yards up the pitch. PSG was a disappointment. And if anyone don't agree with me, then that's up to them. But I thought PSG was an absolute shocking performance over 2 legs.
Let me bring this in before you come in, Christian, because otherwise we're never going to move to any of the next topics. But I wanted to ask this one. Hopefully this will be a little bit more positive, which is, of course, the news that Andrea Berta is our new sporting director. Now, I want to talk about where we go with this, because something really interesting for me was Mikel Arteta's speech at the end there at the last home game of the season, saying it's up to those upstairs. Now, normally when we've seen or heard him before, he said, Edu and me and the team and me and the guys will do these together. We'll get the guys in. But now he's completely nothing to do with me. It's up to them upstairs. That to me is massively significant. That's a very interesting thing to say. And I think that tells us all we need to know about the power of this guy, Andrea Berta. So that excites me because Mikel Arteta and Edu have tried in the last 4 years. In 31 players they brought in, there's 8 or 9 that I like, but that means there's over 20 that have either left the club, haven't been good enough, or been loaned back out. So for me, I look at that scenario and I'm excited now that the power is away from Mikel, which, let's be real, shouldn't be his job anyway, in my opinion. It should be, he's the coach and the manager, he deals with this stuff there. For me, Andrea Berta has got the experience and the CV to be brought into the club to bring in players. I'm looking at the scenario at the moment. Rodrigo's name's been mentioned, and literally 2 hours ago, Nico Williams is now being linked with Real Madrid, which I find very interesting. We've also got Victor Gyökeres' name is being mentioned alongside Manchester United, I might add, because there's other players that want Rodrigo and Gyökeres. However, he has been one that's been mentioned also. And there's been other names in creative midfield, centre-backs, goalkeepers that we clearly do need. Brian Mbeumo is another guy being mentioned with a few of these clubs. Now, the one thing that we are going to have to be aware of is that it is not just Arsenal that want these players. Everybody wants a right winger. They're all going to look at Mbeumo. Everybody that wants a left winger is going to look at Williams or Rodrigo. Everyone that wants a striker is going to look at Sesko, Gyökeres or Osimhen. So it isn't just going to be Arsenal go and pick the guys that they want, and we can't play FIFA like people always tell me. So we've got to be realistic about this. However, I think Andrea Berta will now have the full power this window. I'll come to you, Kenny. What's your thoughts on this, bro?
First and foremost, man, people need to understand what the remit of his job and what his job title is. There's this, like naive assumption that he's going to just have a war chest of money to spend hundreds of millions of pounds. His job is not just to buy players. His job is to deal with player contracts. His job is to also sell players as well. So, it's a three-pronged attack. Let's not forget last season, our summer window was affected by the fact that we spent hundreds of millions of pounds the season before. So this last summer was more about balancing the books. We failed to do that. We thought we could do it by the back way. We thought if we got rid of fringe players, that'd be it. But it didn't work like that. We still weren't able to balance the books, hence the fact that we were only able to get 2 players. One was a number 8 that turned out to be an auxiliary false number 9. And we got a centre-half that, we played at left back until we realised that the guy who was 18 was better. This season coming in, it's very interesting to say it's up to them now. All it's basically saying is that, that Mikel's probably for the first time is working with a proper sporting director, and there was certain realities that Mikel's going to have to sort of deal with. I think Mikel's going to have to make a sacrifice. If Arsenal if you want your Gyökeres and your big players with PSR or if you like FFP, something's got to happen. You can't sell fringe players. You've got to have to consider, getting one of your stars or accepting a massive beef for one of your stars. It's football reality. We don't want it to happen, but you can't just do what Man United do. Spend without getting anyone in. And then you realise that you are contravening PSR. So for me, the Berta versus Arteta battle is going to be very, very interesting because there's going to be some decisions going to make. For instance, the way Arsenal play, and I know it's unpopular, and how I feel about the manager, but however, I'm a football man just as much as I am, I've got an opinion whether the manager's the right man. The football man in me says that I can't see how Gyökeres can play in this system. I think this system does suit Sesko from a footballing point of view. However, Berta's talking about Gyökeres, so again, that's a clash. There's no evidence that Mikel is after Gyökeres.
Why do you think Sesko suits the system more than Gyökeres?
Because simple reason, the way we play is more suited to players who basically can get goals from other areas of the pitch, either from the left, both flanks, and maybe from like a number 8 and obviously a false number 9. If you play a Gyökeres, you've got to get the ball forward quickly enough. In Mikel's system, you don't do that. Mikel's system is a slow build-up. It's more about being compact off the ball and basically having a methodical build-up, a slow build-up. Even when you get in the box, you don't just cross it for cross's sake. You cross if there's players in the box. If there's no players in the box, you pass it back and find a new opening. That's how he plays. If you go, say you're Gyökeres, Christian, and I'm your manager, and you've scored 60 goals last season, you'll want me to get the ball forward quickly enough, wouldn't you? You want me to get the ball quick. You want service. But in Mikel's team, you're not going to get that. What you're going to get is a methodical build-up where it's going to be, you'll get the cross if there is enough players in the box. But the cross will only go in if there's a danger of us not losing the ball and we don't get hit in a counter-attack. That's Mikel football. That's Mikel's football.
I get your point, but do you not think our problem is finishing chances rather than creating them? In 4 games against Newcastle this season, we had 52 shots. We scored 1 goal. Do you not think if you had a Gyökeres on the end of 10 of those shots, we would have scored more than 1 goal?
But if you create those chances, Gyökeres will not be ineffective because Gyökeres will want the ball quicker. He'll want service. He'll want crosses from the flanks. He'll want to drop deep and then do a
Kenny, just quickly, because you know I'm a fan. You know I'm a fan of Gyökeres. Just quickly, then.
So he's not gonna be able to thrive.
Do we have to change then the style? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but you're only going to change the style of play if you get a new manager. This manager is married to his system and he's married to the personnel. Hence the fact that players who are half fit get to play. You have a lot of hamstring injuries because the players who come off who are on the bench, the manager is surplus requirement. He's now got a situation where Ranieri can't get a game because of what happened at Brentford when he was useless of the ball. But he's been useless of the ball from day dot. But for some reason, footballing reason, he's not getting a game. That is someone who's married to the system. So certain players who are in the red zone are still playing games. There's no accident that we've got a lot of hamstring injuries because players who are in the red zone are being overplayed because of the necessity of Mikel's system. And I'm saying Gyökeres will not fit into this system because he's going to need quicker service. He's going to get the ball forward. Yes, he'll get chances, but he's going to be able to play his best football and have a better chance of scoring his 50 or 60 goals if we play a more attacking style and the ball goes forward quickly. Thanks. That's how I see it.
I hope, Kenny, for my sake, because I love him, that you're wrong and that he bangs, because I want Gyökeres big time.
I'm telling you now, you're not getting Gyökeres, you're getting Sesko.
Well, let's see.
Right.
If we get Sesko, we get Sesko. I don't want Sesko. However, let's see what happens.
So, as long as this manager, you're going to get Sesko.
Well, let's see, man. Let's see. I hope not. But I'd hate to say that you might be right. If, of course, Andrea Berta says I'm no longer in control and Arteta gets what he wants, which in that my opinion is then Kroenke out, not Arteta out. Anyway, Soph, big up to you for jumping on. Appreciate that.
At ease, everyone.
Big up to you. Look, I don't want to go back to the cult question because that was
sure
blow up for another hour. However, I do want to correct something that I said at the start because I got it confused about yourself and Harry. So I'll let you do that so I don't steal your thunder. And then I've got a question in relation to Andrea Berta and your thoughts on these transfers that, you know, people are talking about, potentially the power shift at Arsenal with him coming in.
Firstly, good evening to everyone. Thanks, Dan, for sending me the link. My brother, Kenny, who I love dearly, he knows that, Christian, DJ, and Mr. Gunner. I believe this is the first time we've probably been on a show together with the other guys other than Kenny. I wanted to step in because, and good evening to all the squaddies in the house and all you need a football 12th man thing. What are we going to call them? we need something. We need something.
Cult members.
Cult members.
Yeah.
So
12-man community is normally what I call them, but yeah.
I was out and about in the California sunshine, and Lee would know what that feels like, that kind of lifestyle. It's a beautiful thing. And so sweating like swine right now. But I wanted to come on because I did a show a couple of weeks ago, and the theme of the show was, do Arsenal have a disciple following, and is Mikel Arteta the evangelist? and this is coming from someone who really appreciates what he's done for the club. And I've worked in the entertainment industry my whole life, right? And from in PR, and I've looked after some of the biggest talent in the world and people who are up and coming. And so I understand PR and communications and how it works. And I've had to promote dog shit movies, and then also had the pleasure of working on some of the biggest movies, of all time. And I also am, I think, a reasonable fan, and I appreciate what Mikel has done. We were on our knees when he came in, and we had no culture. We had a player, Paul, that was apathetic, that really didn't care. Fans lost interest, and he gets all the credit. But there's also a lot of other people that were part of that process that rebuilt Arsenal 2.0, right? But when you're in front of the camera and you're the one doing all the PR, you get all of the credit for it. I don't think Adu gets enough credit for that. And I spoke to Adu when he came to LA, and he really did play a massive part in that. And I just started feeling this season, especially, as you know, Dan, I was not an early adopter. Super Kev always used to yell at me, Soph, it's the players, it's the players, it's the players. And I was like, I just don't see it, Kev. And then, of course, you challenge for the title in an improbable year. You then, last season, should have won the title, right? We don't like being the hunted. We like being the hunter. When the spotlight's on us, we melt mentally. And that's still a fact about this Arsenal. And this is a culture that we've developed that we haven't really shaken off yet. Why do we crumble when the spotlight is on us? And it was the Real Madrid to PSG thing that really got me thinking. When we played Real Madrid, there was no hype. There were no hype videos. There was none of that stuff. We just went out and played them. Nobody thought that we would beat them. There was this vibe of, we're playing the Kings of Europe. Whatever happens, happens. And we smashed them. But then the Arsenal machine kicked in on PSG, and you had the hype videos. You had Mikel Arteta doing a video. You had the club doing this. You had the club doing that. And we were lauded as favourites. And I'm like, how is that happening? Has anyone seen PSG play football this season? And it got me thinking from the North London Forever song, which I've never really loved, in that the club are manufacturing experiences and manufacturing feelings and manufacturing aura, and kind of have taken away the voice of the fans who create that organically. And I felt like the atmosphere at the Emirates kind of died when Ashburton Army, whatever happened there, it doesn't matter what happened. They get a lot of credit and should get a lot of credit for the atmosphere at the Emirates, but Mikel gets all of the credit. And it's always felt like when we're doing well, he gets the credit. When we don't do well, it's the players. And so that's when I wanted to do the show about, is there a disciple following? Is he the evangelist? And has the power that he's been given, because you see this in society, it's not just about sports, but especially in sports, when a coach or a manager has been given so much power, they develop this following that becomes bigger than the actual sports team itself. And I'm not here to be a hater. I'm not here to shit on what Mikel has done. I just thought it was a very interesting conversation in that some Arsenal fans protect Arteta FC versus Arsenal FC. And so I did the show, The Disciple Evangelist, and then Harry listened to it. And he was like, I thought that was really interesting. Can you come on the show and talk about it? And I went on Harry's show and talked about it, and it just went on from there.
Fair play. Look, I watched it and I couldn't believe the blow up on Twitter. I did say that earlier. I got it wrong. I didn't know the way round of the shows, but I know you and Harry were together. And look, I think you've spit facts so far. I love how articulate you are, and I think everything you've said there is spot on, in my opinion.
Dan, sorry to cut in there, just because I've just Googled Arsene Wenger's last 10 signings. Yeah, Granit Xhaka. Well, our fans clapped him out the ground. And he won trophies for us. Rob Holding, he won trophies for us. He's about to, he could potentially get promoted. And by the way, I don't know if many people know this. Every single player that was in the FA Cup squad on the match day in 2020, August the 1st, in the FA Cup final, which Super Duper Mick won. Every player that has left this football club has won at least one trophy, apart from Rob Holding, who's on loan from Palace to Sheffield United, and he can win one if they get promoted.
He would have won one if he'd have stayed.
Can I just also add to that the same fans who are criticizing fans for questioning Mikel Arteta are the same fans who did not give Emery any of that time. And this is why it all kind of culminated with me in that, hold on a second. So I'm actually have been a supporter of him for the last 3 seasons, and I'm getting attacked because I'm questioning how we've strategically gone about our business this season, how we have absolutely had no preparedness for the lack of injuries.
Thanks.
So when we don't sign someone, it's the Kroenke's fault. But the same people who say you've spent 850 million and he's been integral in those decision makings. He chose Calafiori, he chose Marino. You can't question that. And I come from the point of view of you can support something and still question it and criticize it. And these people that really at the end hounded out Wenger, hounded out Emery, and I know for a fact, and I don't like saying this out loud, but I'm going to, but someone who's very close to Emery, who I have a lot of respect for, the only freaking European final he didn't win was with Arsenal. Why? Because we have a culture problem, right? And Emery didn't get the support. He got a smidgen of the support that Arteta has gotten. And he knew he was going to lose that final. Why? Because there was a cancer in the dressing room. There was a clique that had built. Ozil was the club and became the club. And now we're treading very dangerous water in that one man has a lot of control of the aura and the culture of the club. Sorry to interrupt you, Lee. There.
That's fine. Skodran Mustafi, everyone considers him shit. However, he did win the FA Cups with us. Takuma Asano, he's now playing at Real Mallorca. Has won nothing. He didn't even play for us, really. Let's be real. I don't think he even played a single game. Said Kolasinac has won a Europa League since he's left. Alex Lacazette, has he won anything since he's left? Although I did see he had a nice tifo the other day and he was welling up at Lyon. But he's won at Arsenal. Henrik Mkhitaryan's won about 5 trophies and in a Champions League final at the end of the month since he's left Arsenal.
Matt Turner and Eddie Nketiah just won an FA Cup.
And Matt Macey, who was in the FA Cup squad, won a League One title with Portsmouth. I'm saying every single player apart from Rob Holding, that FA Cup squad that is left has won. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has won a league title and is in a cup final at the end of the month. And now, if you go to Unai Emery's signings, Nicolas Pepe, since he's left, he's won an AFCON. William Saliba is still here, is considered the best defender bar none, if not maybe second or third then. Cool, but we're looking at, if he goes 100 million, well, he was here before this manager. Lucas Torreira has done a double this season. I think he won the league last season as well, since he's left. Kieran Tierney's still here. He is the sole survivor who started the FA Cup final under this manager. He's the only player that clapped Mikel Arteta when his name was called out to go and speak on the side of the pitch at the weekend. No other squad member did, from what I see. And I've got the clip. Maybe I need to pause it a little bit. Bernd Leno, I don't think he's won anything since he's left. Where else are we? Socrates Pastafopoulos. Did I say it right? Hopefully.
Socrates Papastadopoulos.
There you go. Come on.
Love that.
Come on. He's won 2 Greek titles since he's left. And what were the rest of Emery's signings? Let's have a quick look at the other ones, because every single player that seems to get away from this manager seems to go on and win something. Gabriel Martinelli's still here. He never played in the final. Guendouzi, I don't think he's won anything. Maybe he's won a Nations League. I don't think he has, though.
Is it Lazio now, isn't he?
Yeah. David Luiz has won 4 trophies.
Team of the season with Marseille.
He was balling at Marseille. That was when Aubameyang was there. David Luiz has won the Copa Libertadores, which is the biggest trophy you can win in South America, plus 3 or 4 other trophies since he's left Arsenal. Is there anyone else? Let me have a look who else he signed. 1 second, bear with me. Who else is there? I think there's one more. It's just loading. Dani Ceballos. Oh, Dani Ceballos has won about 11 trophies since he's gone back to Real Madrid. And people can laugh at Dani Ceballos. He actually plays. He actually plays.
Emi Martinez has gone to...
Emi Martinez has won 3 trophies with his country. Denis Suarez has won fuck all since he's left, as far as I'm aware. He still plays. Unless, hang on, hold on. Maybe he has. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he ain't. And I think there's one more.
when you're talking about some of these trophies that some of these players have won, I think we've developed a snobbery in our fan base. As far as I remember, and my brother Kenny here will attest to this, and DJ too, is growing up, the FA Cup was everything. The League Cup was everything. You look at Crystal Palace. I know it's their first trophy, but it's a beautiful story in football this season. And the League Cup, seeing Newcastle win. If we'd have gotten to that final, to play a final in the last week of February or the first week of March, these players don't know what it feels like to win together. There's no winning culture. There's a culture, but there's no winning culture. They have no idea what that feels like. They can beat Man City 5-1 and they can beat Real Madrid 5-1, but they don't know what it feels like to touch something and lift it above their heads. And even when I'm playing snooker or darts with my mates, I want to beat them, right? So you imagine these players who are professionals, if it feels like this to win the League Cup, bloody hell, what does it feel like to win the Premier League or the Champions League? And as much as Mikel's tried to transmit that, it happened very early in his tenure, and the domestic trophies have been a disaster since. And you look at the semi-finals and the amount of goals we scored, they've not been great since. So to me, it feels like we're shooting for the moon before we land on the stars. It's all about the Premier League and the Champions League. But why not start somewhere, right? Look at Man United. Man United could win, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, 3 trophies in the last 3 years tomorrow night. And they've had a disastrous time in the Premier League. And I said to someone, I'm like, okay, we finished second. Nobody remembers that. No. I will remember being in a Europa League final. I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't mean I want to be in the Europa League final. It just means like you're in a European final, right? And so if they win, they've had a more successful season than us. No one's going to remember second. They will remember the trophy in the cabinet. That's it. That's it.
Do you know what it is? Sorry, DJ. Can I just say this one thing and I'll let you go? Sorry. Do you know what it also is, yeah? You got players like Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka's our star boy. He's an unbelievable player, yeah? Great footballer, yeah? Every single player in the England squad has won something apart from the goalkeeper, I think. Even Eze's now won. Gordon's won something. Kane's now won something. Every single player in midfield has won something. Pretty much. Rice. Rice. Declan Rice. Now you got Saliba. He's going off to France. You're seeing Mbappe, Mendy, Camavinga, Tchouameni. Yeah, these players are all in group chats with each other. Yeah, now the Brazilian lads are going off and seeing Rodrigo. They're seeing Militao. Yeah, they're seeing Vinicius Jr. Yeah, these players want to win. And Saliba's face at the end of that game, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's a guy that don't want to be there. Yeah, because he was disrespected by this manager in the first place when we were playing Kolasinac, El Neni. Even El Neni, by the way, has won something since he's left this football club. Yeah, he's won a trophy since he's left, by the way. And we were fast-tracking him to be a coach, apparently. That's why we kept him another year. Every single player that leaves this club wins something. Now they're mates with players that win something. They're national team players with mates that win something. And now, Bukayo Saka has been to 2 Euro finals. Yeah, he's been to a World Cup semi, I think it is. Yeah, he's bottled a top 4 in the team that bottled it. He's bottled 2 titles in that team. Yeah, and nowhere near this season. Now he's seeing Harry Kane win his first trophy. He's halfway, well, not halfway, maybe he's a third of the way to becoming our Harry Kane. He's going to look around at some point and go, well, I don't want to be this. I know he's won an FA Cup, but in his head, he probably don't think he won that FA Cup. He didn't play in the final or the semi. When's enough for these players? He's going to see Jude Bellingham and he's won 5 trophies in 2 years.
Firstly, it's the experience, right? It's the experience to get to a final, to know what it tastes like and know what it feels. And they haven't done this together even. Okay, you could say if we got to the League Cup and lost it, they would feel that pain, right? Tony Robbins, his whole thing is sell the pain, provide the solution. We have pain, but the solution doesn't match up to the experience of that pain, i.e. you finish second, you get kicked out of a quarterfinal, you get kicked out of a semi-final. Being in a final and losing, the pain is exponentially much worse than losing out beforehand. And you learn more in those moments.
Can I ask, because DJ and Christian, I want to bring you in. I want to try and look at this summer because otherwise we're just going to talk all about a lot of the season just gone, which I'm sick of, if I'm honest.
It's going to get worse tomorrow night, Dan.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to get a lot worse when Gyökeres goes to Man United.
Oh,
Don't please, Soph, don't.
Yeah.
Talk to me, both of you, about the summer. So I'm highlighting this to Christian and DJ because I'm wondering why I'm fairly excited about Andrea Berta. He's literally the only reason I'm excited, by the way. If we said I had to do an Arteta, I wouldn't be. And I start to hear the names that we link with, and it does excite me. I do like the links with Rodrigo. I do like the links with Victor Gyökeres. I'm not a huge lover of Zubimendi for the pure fact that I haven't seen enough of him, but from what I hear, he's pretty good, right? So they're the sort of names that I want to be seeing us link with. They're not across the line yet. Are you confident that we'll have the summer that we need that's required? And what I mean by that is a proper summer, not a Raheem Sterling deadline day summer.
We've got a lot of work to do, Dan. We've spoken about this on pods this season. We've been the hierarchy, the people at the top, the owners. They've let us down over the past 18 months, man. Last summer was a joke. We were 2-3 players short. January, as we all know, was a joke. And look, we can sit here and go through who's going to leave. We know we were short going into the season. We were short in January. We're probably going to be short again going into next season unless they do an absolute madness. They've got to sign at least 5 or 6 players to be anywhere near having a deep enough squad to go again, which is where my frustrations are, more than Arteta, more than what's going on the pitch. My frustrations and problems are what's going on off the pitch. We were left short over and over again. And I'm worried that we're going to be left short again, man. And it's going to come next season. We'll finish 2nd or 3rd. We won't win a trophy. And look, conversations then will be different because it will be 6 years, no trophy. It will be this much money spent. Is he a nearly man? But for me, that falls more on the people up top than it does on Mikel, just because of what we've seen. And for what I've seen that he can produce on the pitch, for me, if he had those extra few pieces, I personally think we would have got over the line. But there's so much to do this summer, man. Look, just running through it quickly. We're going to need a goalkeeper because Neto's going. Don't know what's going on with Tomiyasu. Is he going to stay? Is Kivior going to leave? Tierney's leaving. Zinchenko might leave. Jorginho's going. Is Partey going to stay? Sterling's going. Martinelli or Trossard is one of them going to go. That's like 8 or 9 players, 10 players that might be leaving the club. And we are already short. So if we bring in 6 or 7, we're going to be even shorter. So I'm a little bit stressed about it, man. Look, I like the Gyökeres links. I think he's a good player. Kenny, I know, has his concerns, and fair enough. We don't know how we fit into the Prem, how we fit into this system, but I know he's a goal scorer, and I know we struggle to score goals at times. Like I said, 4 games against Newcastle this season, 52 shots, 1 goal scored. That's not good enough. We need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. We need a winger who can do that as well. Rodrigo, his record in the Champions League is ridiculous. I sent you a screenshot today of...
Sorry, can I just ask you a question, Christian?
Go for it.
You know, last season, we had Kai Havertz, but we had 4 players who had 15 goals, right? The most goals we scored in the Premier League. Same players are here this season. It's not about the goal scorer. It's about how we're playing, right? You look at the season before that as well. So I just wanted to ask you that question because, of course, we need a goal scorer. Everyone knows that. We haven't replaced Aubameyang. But last season, we were pretty prolific in front of goal. We had 4 players. No other team in Europe actually had 4 players with 15 goals or more. And so that's where I start looking at how he's tweaked the team and the style that we're playing this season, which is like a possession obsession. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to ask that question.
It's all right. So who were the 4 players that scored 15 last year? Saka, Kai
Martinelli,
Havertz.
Odegaard and Havertz.
So that wasn't last year. That was 2 seasons ago.
Okay, 2 seasons ago. Whichever season. Pick one. Why stop that? Why stop?
Because they delete everything that ain't this season, and that's where they take everything off of the latest season.
You're talking about last season or the season before?
Last season, we scored the most goals in Arsenal's history in the Premier League, above the Invincibles, right? So we were getting goals.
Yeah, we were. Of course,
it doesn't matter about points. Points don't matter if you don't win the big trophy. What matters is we scored the most goals this season. That creativity, has been stifled because of the way we've played. And one of the things that Dan and I talked about on our show yesterday when I had him on, I asked him this because of Schmeichel's comments, and I had Warren Barton on our show. And I said, when Mikel's on the sideline and he's dictating a lot, and there's a lot of animated managers, I'm not picking on Mikel because a lot of modern day managers do this, but as a player, when you're seeing that and he's yelling continuously, does it stifle you? Peter Schmeichel made his comments clear, and Warren felt like, and Warren played in the Kevin Keegan teams. He, talks all the time on our show about how they nearly won it, and he's sick of nearly not winning it. And he would do anything to have been the League Cup winner just to be able to say to his kids, here, I have a trophy, I won something. It stifles the players they're afraid to make a move. They're afraid to be spontaneous. They're afraid to do something that isn't part of the objectives. And I think that has been a huge burden on these players this season.
So, Sophie, what's your question? Is your point that we lack creativity?
I believe that is a obvious point. And also that when you go from scoring the most goals in your history with the same players to not being able to do that and replicate that, the style of which we're playing has totally stifled those creative players.
So then do you not think...
maybe I'm talking out my arse. I don't know.
No, I get your point. 100%. There's definitely been changes. The system's definitely changed. But do you not think our most creative player over the past 2 years, a guy that was in the PFA Team of the Season 2 years in a row, who I think was on his way to being world-class until the injury this season in Martin Odegaard, do you not think when you lose a man like that, who's your most creative player, arguably, assist provider, 15 goals, like you said, in the league 2 years ago, most goals from a midfielder, non-penalty goals from a midfielder in Premier League history. Do you not think losing a player like that for a couple of months, then
when did he come back? When did he come back from injury? I'm a huge Martin Odegaard fan, by the way. When did he come back from injury?
November.
He had 57 days out and missed 12 games at club and country.
I would say,
and funny enough, the two games that he missed for his country were their best two results ever in their history.
On Martin Odegaard. I know you're not a fan, right?
Arsenal website polls in them, because Arsenal website show factually he has regressed every year he's been here, and he passes left and backwards more than he passes right and forwards. Their website shows it. I've done this on the screen.
And the point is too is that when did he come back from injury, Christian? When did he come back from injury?
Finish my point. It came back against Chelsea. I don't know exactly when it was.
What month was it? Just give me the month, because I don't know. I'm asking for help here.
In November, but he wasn't the same player. He hasn't been the same player at all after the injury, right? We've seen that.
Of course he hasn't, but why hasn't he been the same player?
Because he's had an injury which has obviously affected his game.
But also then, why aren't you prepared? Why are you not prepared to have backup for him? And also, why have you not given Waneri the opportunity? Because we've seen what Waneri has done. And if Martin Odegaard isn't fully fit, why aren't you giving Waneri the opportunity to shine in that position the same way you have Lewis-Skelly?
That was a mistake.
I mean, that was a mistake at the time. And I believe that Martin Odegaard, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a statement sometime in the next 2 weeks that says he's got to have surgery. When are we going to learn our lessons about overly playing our players through injury and bringing them back too soon?
Can I just say,
our squad is so light because he hasn't been back properly. The squad was light in the summer.
My answer to that is be prepared. Your Arsenal Football Club. You've been challenging for the last 2 years.
Or the board? Who are you talking to?
We're blaming. Look,
so the Kroenkes gave him so much money, but it's now their fault. They don't pick the team. They don't pick the players. They don't buy the players.
I just want to get back to Dan's question.
Highest in the Premier League.
No, hang on. We're blaming the board now. It's gone from injuries, red cards, and now we're going on about the Kroenkes. Let's talk about the question about the summer signings. Okay. The fact of the matter is. This man needs to change the way he manages. This man needs to change tactically on the field. We need to get Saka in more attacking positions so he can score goals instead of having to track back 24/7 like he has been doing. Similar to what Liverpool's done to Salah this season, put him in the final third rather than keep coming back and tracking back. We need to get Salah. We need to get Saka more up the field. We need another creative midfield player. as well as Odegaard that's fallen off the end of a cliff. You know, we need a more creative midfield player. We need to rectify the left-hand side. And we do need a goal scorer. However, are we going to get the right goal scorer to fit this manager's style of play as Kenny has alighted to? And I personally think if Gyökeres comes to the club, I don't think this manager's going to get the best out of him until he change his way of playing. We need a change of style. We need a different voice. It's pure and simple. We can go round and round in circles, talk about cults, talk about this, talk about that. The fact of the matter is, he started a process. And what you can say about the board and the board this and the board ain't backed him, he's had significant amount of funds in his tenure to build a club, to have the players so that if a player gets injured, i.e. Saka, why didn't we go for Elise? You know, he's had the money. He's had the time. The player's body language now is telling me that things are not rosy in the Arsenal camp. The players are scared to express themselves. They're micromanaged. They're looking over the sidelines all the time. He's berating, he's up and down. Do this, do that. They're not allowed to express themselves. They're frightened of making mistakes. They're not playing with any freedom. Odegaard is now not playing with any freedom. I personally think Odegaard has got the potential to be a really wonderful player, but not under this manager. If you put Odegaard under a Klopp or someone like that, you would see a completely different Odegaard.
So what was wrong with him last season? The season
Sorry?
before? He was in the PFA team of the season.
This is why we're questioning that. This is the whole reason why we're questioning Arteta, Christian.
But you're saying
why has he changed?
Why is he manager?
Okay, why is now Martinelli not the player he was? Why is Odegaard? These are the questions we have to ask, and it's under this manager. And the bottom line is the buck stops at the manager. When things don't go right and when you don't win trophies, the manager then has to take responsibility. And every time this manager is put in front of reporters and he gets asked a certain question that he's not comfortable with, he changes it, or he gets kind of aggressive, or he gets kind of backed in a corner. He can't get out of it. And this is the problem.
DJ and Kenny, can I ask you guys a question real quick? Because you guys are much smarter than me at tactics, but I feel like sometimes there's no plan B. The subs are more like for like. You guys have seen managers from a long time at Arsenal, right? And adaptability, I think, is really important, especially in modern day football. So I just wanted to ask you, like, Wenger took risks, you know, even Emery took risks, maybe didn't work out. Bruce Rioch, I can't speak for, but George Graham certainly had a way of playing, but it seems like he's gone from fearless to fearful.
Well, let me tell you something about George Graham when taking risk. George Graham put Morrow at left back and played Winterburn as a holding midfield player in a Cup Winners' Cup final against a talented Parma. Arteta would never do that. Yeah, Wenger used to, you know, we went to Old Trafford and Sylvain Wiltord played as a striker and won us the league, and Henry sat on the bench.
Henry was not in the squad.
Henry was not even in the squad.
Neither was Pires. Bergkamp was on the bench and he was injured and never got a game.
What you got to remember is, I saw the plan B in the semi-final against PSG was getting Partey to throw the ball in, Rory Gillard style, and get players 30 yards up the pitch.
Was plan
A. What crazy gang. The only player that was missing in that game was Vinnie Jones, because all I was seeing was Raya just boot the ball 30, 40 yards down the pitch when we had no striker to head the ball, hold the ball up or anything. This is a manager that's been in situ for like nearly 6 years, and we revert into long ball. We had other fans picking up on it. It's like watching Wimbledon back in the day. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. And people think that it's like, oh, it's hate on Arteta. You can't say things like that. He's got a second every season. Yeah, but for my season ticket money, he hasn't got me to Wembley. He missed out against Man United. He hasn't got me to Wembley in the Carabao Cup. He hasn't got me to a Champions League final. We haven't won the Premiership when the door was wide open this season to win it. It was our time. This season was our time. And whether you can gloss it all you like. This was an amazing opportunity this season to win silverware, and he hasn't done it. And yet, what do we hear him say in press conferences? Oh, the injuries, oh, this. And they're brainwashed by it. Everyone, oh, yeah, that's the reason why, Mikel. Injuries. Now, come on. If he'd have strengthened in the right areas, we would have compensated for injuries. And if you're that good a manager, when you have got injuries, show us your £15 million a year that you're good enough to work out how to cope with those injuries, how to cope with those setbacks, like your Alex Fergusons did, like your Peps do, like your Klopps do, like your Wengers do. Show me what you can do then.
Do you know what, DJ? Just really quickly on that point, because look, people said that Man United and Alex Ferguson, look, he's the best manager, one of the best ever, certainly the best in my era. When I look at when the tools were blunt, yeah, like Pep at the moment, his tools are blunt, and he can't do what Fergie did, which was drag him across the line. Because people say, well, that 2013 team, he had Van Persie and Rooney. Why ain't he got Haaland and Foden and De Bruyne? Yeah. So when I look at that, they were able to get him across the line. Now, I'm not saying that Mikel Arteta should be winning the Premier League every season, right? No. But that team or squad that he's put together is good enough to win a trophy. Right? And he ain't done that. Yeah. So if people say to me, he should win a Premier League, he should win a I could actually go back and say, well, hang on a minute, we're not entitled to win a Premier League every year. No one wins it every year, right? However, if Ten Hag can win a trophy, Amorim Orange this season are going to win a trophy. Glasner can win a trophy. Howe can win a trophy. We can win a trophy, right? So Arne Slot's walked in on phase one and's done it. Yeah. Oh, it's not phase one. It's not phase one because he's had an inherited squad. All this crap here. He's come in. No one had him to win the league. Boom, done it. First in first, right? So this is where I'm at now. I look at the scenario and think Mikel Arteta needs to win us a trophy, and that's the kind of where I wanted to kind of close on really. Was this last question, because this is a question I ask every single season, and now we're nearly staying. How do we answer this as a panel? Now, Kenny, I'll start with you. What is the minimum expectation for Arteta in this coming season?
I'll tell you in a minute. He shouldn't be here in the first place. He shouldn't be here. He should be here. He's only 6 years. His time's up. He shouldn't be here. Because why are we asking these questions all the time? What is the minimum? We were asking these questions last year, the year before. His time's up. If you look at the managers across Europe, have about a shelf life of about 4 or 5 years and maybe 6 years. And that's the successful managers. This manager has had 6 years where he's evolved the way he plays. You know, he's got the players he wants, but we've seen, and the evidence states, that he can't get us over the line. But I'll tell you what they're going to say next season. They're going to say, if Mikel Arteta doesn't win a trophy, he should be sacked. If he doesn't get to the semi-finals of the Champions League, he should be sacked. And then next season, what will happen? The same people will say to you, but what if he gets 95 points next season and he finishes second and we get really close? Will we keep him on then? The goalpost always moves with Mikel Arteta. So this
Thanks,
question,
Stove. Legend. Thank you, Stove.
I've got to run. See you guys. It was really good. I'll see you next time, hopefully with some more time.
She came in, dropped the mic, and now she's leaving.
Oh, no. Bro, love you. And I'm going to be listening. I've got to get in the car, but I'm going to be listening, okay? Take care. Thanks for having me. Okay.
Make sure you're following Highbury Squad.
Appreciate that. Cheers, bro. And well done again on your 40K plus. I'm proud of you. Well done.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Love.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye. Bye.
But as I've been saying, I think this question is basically like a closed question. But I do think that this question is the same question you're going to be asking next season. It's not personal against Mikel. Got nothing against him. I'm not a pork chop. I know he's a good coach, but the fact is that his title says team manager, and his job now is to motivate those players and get them to the situations where he can get them over the line. The evidence states after 6 years that what he's done really well is built foundations. What he's done really well is left foundations for the next manager. He's left a very good set of players. However, the players need a new voice, in my opinion. They need someone now. They are ready for a big name manager to take us along. The problem we have at Arsenal Football Club is that the way Arsenal Football Club is run, it is not run for a manager, for a big name manager, because big name managers are only going to want to come here for about 2 or 3 years, and then they're going to come up with this all, well rehearsed excuse. I need to learn another language and I need another culture. But the thing with big name managers, they're going to want £700 million to spend. Arsenal's not that club. So really and truly, Mick Arteta is here because of the culture of the club and because we like to give managers time. But in terms of what Mikel Arteta needs to do, well, I think for me, I'm the wrong person to ask, because I really would like to see a managerial change. And there's no would have, could have, or maybes next season. It's a case of let's get someone new in. We've got a new sporting director. We're getting into a new season. We should be getting new players coming in. I think the better players do need a new voice and need to be taught how to win things, because we clearly are not at that level when it comes to winning the big trophies, even though we've had numerous chances. I disagree with Christian in one thing, and where me and you're going to have an arm wrestle on. I do not believe, Christian, that this Man City side of 23 and 24 was as good as the teams in 2018 and 2019. I also believe that what we saw in 23 and 24 was the last legs of this Man City side and the last era, and this was proved this season. And I do believe that even if Rodri was fit, Liverpool was still going to win the league, that these players are in their last legs. And with a team that, in my opinion, that is not as good as 2018 and 2019, it was their experience and knowing how to win that got them through. But in terms of footballing ability, that is not a great Man City side in 23, 24, even though they won the treble. And history books would say, Ken, you're talking at your behind. But I saw those teams in 2018 and 2019, and they were scary. 100 points and 98 points, 198 points in 2 years.
Getting on to that question, mate, I'm similar to Kenny. I think there's no better time now to change. And I know people are going to say, oh, yeah, it's because you want Arteta out. I'm just thinking of the football club. As I said, it does need a new voice. Tactically, these players need something else. They're too rigid. They're too predictable. Teams have sussed us out now. No one's scared of coming to the Emirates anymore. It's not a scary place anymore. Yeah, I know we haven't lost many games and everything else, but teams always have that. Teams are always in the game against us. We're not blowing teams away anymore. They're in the game all the time. You look at the Leicesters and the Southamptons and teams like this that have come to the Emirates this season. West Ham have done a job. I know we're saying, the next question will be, yeah, but look at our record against the top 6 teams. But then look at our record against all the other clubs. They've not been good. And this is what I'm trying to say. It is time now. And I fear that we're going to be back here again next season, talking the same thing over and over again, as Kenny said. I really fear that. I fear that we're just going to go round in circles unless he sits down or unless he stands and looks himself in the mirror and go, I need to change the way I manage. I need to change tactically what I do. I need to get the feel-good factor back in some of these players, because it's not there. You looked at Saliba on Sunday. Saka now is going to start getting his head turned. We're going to have our top assets, our top players looking elsewhere. And once that starts happening, it doesn't matter what players you bring into this club. If you can't hold down your team and you've got players walking out the door, you're constantly on a rebuild every season. Players coming in, players going out. And then You're building for season after season after season.
That's the worry.
And
we've seen that before. We've seen that before with the previous
this
players.
is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. And I've been saying it, and I've said it from November, December time. It's a rebuild within a rebuild. This is what's happened now. We're starting all over again. Even Christian said we need 6 or 7 players. That's a rebuild. We're going to see players go out the door. And by the time he's had at this club, we should only be signing 1 or 2 players this season, just to strengthen on our team. We shouldn't be in a position where we're having to sign 6, 7, 8 players. For how long he's been here and the money he's had, we should only be making little tweaks. Bit like what Slot done with Liverpool. Signed Chiesa, made little tweaks, changed the way Salah.
What I hope next summer is that Berta gets the players in and there's no more excuses, nowhere to hide. That's what I'm really praying for.
Yeah, but unless the manager, see Dan, unless we get a change, unless Mikel Arteta backs down and says, right, I've got to fucking up my game, I'm not good enough at the moment, or unless we get a new manager, don't matter what players come in, it's going to be the same old. Because you got to remember, he will still justify playing Havertz. That's another reason why he wants Sesko over Gyökeres. If you're signing Gyökeres, there's no room for Havertz. If you're signing Sesko, there may be a chance you can play Havertz.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting at the moment about who wins this battle.
This is what you mean. He signed Havertz for £65 million. And he was like a little boy at Christmas when he was stripping off on Sunday. He couldn't wait to get him on. Meanwhile, Wanyeri, fuck knows what he's done, can't even get 5 minutes when this young kid was bailing him out the crap earlier on in the season. I mean, come on, make it make sense, mate. I'm lost with this manager. I've never seen it before. It's ridiculous. And again, who's wrong or right? I don't know.
Let me ask you, Christian, before I want to close on this with both you and Lee. Then I've got to do the super chats. I'm going to pin most of them, but there's a couple I want to do. Christian, how would you answer that question? Minimum expectation. I'm actually genuinely interested in where you see it. Igal, funny enough, has texted me saying, I'm going to bed, but the answer to the question is he wins the Premier League or the Champions League. So
he said that last season.
We'll clip that, Lee.
Yeah, don't worry. We got the Igal files. He said that last season.
Where are you at, bruv? Because I'll tell you mine quickly, because I don't need more than 30 seconds. For me, minimum expectation, he wins a trophy and he challenges for the league. I don't care what the trophy is. Win me a trophy and challenge for the Premier League. If he wins the Premier League, brilliant. If he wins the Champions League, brilliant. If he wins the FA Cup, fantastic. If he wins the Carabao Cup, I'm still cool with it. Minimum expectation, lift me a trophy in either the new year or May and challenge for the title. And I mean, go to the wire with it, not finish 15 points off of the winner. That's my minimum expectation. But what are you saying, Christian?
I think I'm similar. We have to win a trophy. We can't go 6 years no trophy. I think if we do, I think he's gone, and I'll completely understand why he will be gone. I still won't change my opinion on him being a good coach. I think whatever he does in his career, if he doesn't win a trophy next season and he gets sacked or he walks, I think he'll go on and have a great career. I think he'll get big job after big job. I'm not sure there's a club in his career that he won't be able to manage or a club that won't take him. I think if he's backed enough and he's given the right players, he can win the Premier League. He can win trophies. But look, if we don't back him correctly in the summer and he doesn't win it, I will still have the same opinion. If we do back him correctly in the summer and he doesn't win it, my opinion will still be the same. So, look, man, give him the final pieces of the puzzle. Give him a striker. Give him a left winger. Give him some more squad depth because we have been short. And yeah, man, go and win something. And if you don't, he'll be gone.
Okay. Guns.
First and foremost, Ajax manager bottled a 9-point lead and quit the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he found shame. Yeah, and he took them from 17th, saved them from relegation in his half season, got them 9 points clear, and then bottled the title in his first full season. He quit yesterday. Our manager was doing a GQ magazine, front page spread and all of that, saying that he thought about quitting after the 8-point bottle job. Now he's telling us he's basically Martin Luther King. I have a dream, guys. We have a dream. We've gone from, I wanted to quit because I don't think I'm good enough, to 15 million quid a year. So we have to dream, guys. Then Julian Laurent's another wanker. Yeah, another one. Yeah, starts giving it the Bertie. Oh, Mikel Arteta just casually rocking up to Arseblog and Arsenal Vision podcast live gig. Yeah, he was probably paid to be there, mate. Yeah, probably paid to be there. Yeah. Oh, the match day fans. It's online. It's online. Well, 20,000 walked out the stadium, and DJB and Kenny were there. Yeah, they walked out. Yeah, maybe Christian, you were there as well. I don't know. Yeah, but at the same time, people have had enough. Yeah, and it's all well and good sitting there saying, "Oh, but he has to win next season." These people were saying the same thing last season, and it's always a stipulation with it. If he gets the final piece of the jigsaw, which is his striker. He's got his striker. He's called 29. He's got a backup striker now. It's called Mikel Merino. Yeah, he doesn't want an out-and-out striker. He wants somebody that can drop into midfield. He can invert his left or right back, whoever that may be at any given season. So now we can overload the midfield. Now, people that I sit on panels with go, if he gets what he needs in the summer, then he has to win. Now the manager is going, them guys upstairs. So now he's already got his get out of jail card. These people have already got the get out of jail card, because if he doesn't get what he needs, they can say, well, it was Berta's fault. Berta's fault. The reason they're keeping him for another season and don't want him potted after 5 full seasons is because, we want to see how it goes with Berta. Get out of it, mate. No other big club in world football acts like this. Yeah, and for me, I look at it and I go, well, hang on. Christian, you sat there earlier and said we would need about 8 players. About 8 players, roughly, yeah? Right? Because we need squad depth, we need this, we need that. Players leaving, Kieran Tierney, Jorginho's leaving, potentially Thomas Partey, Trossard, Samba Lokonga's going to leave. Marquinhos is out of contract. Cole Hein may or may not stay. Who knows? But we need another goalkeeper. Marty
will be annoyed. Big up Marty. He watches Cole Hein.
Yeah, he obviously don't. But to be fair, I actually do. And Cole Hein has probably been one of their top 3 players, and they're bottom of the league getting relegated. And then he shipped about 80 goals. However, he has actually saved them from conceding about 150 goals this season.
Well, this Garcia keeper apparently is going to Newcastle from what I'm
He's unreal. That geezer's unreal. Yeah, he's unbelievable. My point is, though, Dan, right? When people sit there and say it's a retool, well, Neto's leaving, so there's one. Yeah, Saliba, well, we don't know, but let's say he stays. Tierney's 2. Yeah. Gabriel and Ben White, they'll stay. Kivior needs to fuck off. There's 3. Simba stays. Zinchenko can go. There's 4. Tomiyasu, there's 5. Calafiori's dog shit, but he's going to stay. Partey could be leaving, but let's assume he stays. The captain's staying. Jorginho's leaving. There's 6. Marino's going to stay. Rice is staying. Saka's staying. Gabby Jesus can't bin him until January, so there's 7. Martinelli is staying. Trossard will probably go, so there's 8. Sterling's going, there's 9. 29 staying. Yeah, Cole Hein, let's say he stays. Yeah. Nuno Tavares is leaving. He's already gone. That's a done deal. Fabio Vieira, there's 10. Samba Lokonga, there's 11. Reece Nelson, there's 12. Marquinhos is out of contract, there's 13. That's 30 players, and 13 of them are going and or need to go. And that's not even the ones that I want out. Yeah, that's just the ones like the Tomiyasus and so on and so forth, yeah? That's out of a 30, and that's not including Ethan and Skelly. 30 players, including them 2.
So it leaves 19 players, right?
No. I include 30, included Ethan and Skelly. That's 28 that I've just gone through on the Arsenal website. They don't have them in their first team squad. So out of 28, 13 are going or need to bin. Yeah, in terms of Jesus, Zinchenko, Kivior.
Okay.
Yeah. Where are we getting this narrative from that, well, if he just gets a striker and a left winger, we're all good? I don't think you realise how effed we are. Yeah, Martinelli's on 180 grand a week. How are we getting rid of him? Ben White's on 150. Zinchenko 150. Jesus 265. Tomiyasu, 100 grand. Where are we getting rid of these players? Kivior went from 2.1k a week to 58k a week. How are we getting rid of these? This is why Andrea Berta, mate, has been brought in, because this guy has bamboozled our hierarchy that don't know fuck all about football. Yeah, they genuinely don't. And he's bamboozled them the way he's bamboozled our fan base, yeah? And now they've looked at it and gone, no, this don't roll anymore. Let's go and get best in class. Now what we need is best in class manager. I'll take Eddie Howe in heartbeat. Yeah, that guy has proven that he can improve footballers, get to finals. Yeah, hasn't spent a massive amount of money. Yeah, the Al Ali manager has managed Ivan Toney, Gabri Viega, who's available, by the way, Mahrez, Bobby Firmino, who was his captain, but they wanted to sign Galeno, who chefed us up against Porto and scored against us. And they wanted to register him in January. So they dropped their captain for league games. He could only play their Champions League version. Yeah, and guess what? They won the Champions League. He's already won a double at Salzburg, retained the title the following season. Yeah, he was Salzburg youth. He was Bromby number 2. He's 37 years old and he's available because he's left by mutual consent. He's managed for 4 years at the highest level, got to a Champions League quarters or round of 16, first time ever. Salzburg have never, ever won a fucking league since he left 2 years ago. And he's won the biggest prize in that region. And people go, it's the Saudi League. Cool. Cool. Where did we get Arsenal from? Oh, the same region, Asia. So why don't we go and get Matthias Giselle? He's managed high-profile footballers. His talent ID is sick. Yeah, he's managed in multiple different countries and he's won 4 trophies in 4 years. And he's available. And I'll tell you now, what's going to happen is somebody like Brighton will get him, or West Ham, or Chelsea, or somebody else. And everyone go, who the fuck's this guy? Go and get him. He ain't going to cost 15 a year. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I watched him. That's my Saudi team. Mahrez FC. They won the Champions League in that region and they beat Al Ali, who, by the way, have sacked their manager after going invincible last season. So he's available as well. Yeah, Laurent Blanc has just won the league in his first season out there. Yeah, maybe we should go and get him. There are so many managers, so many examples of it not taking time. Bologna manager, Calafiori leaves, Xerxes leaves, Motta leaves to go and win a cup. Go Ahead Eagles win a cup. Flick wins 3, gets Champions League semi. We need a new manager, yeah, before we give this geezer any more money. And Andrea Berta is coming to clean this mess up. Yeah, Allegri sat on doing nothing. 5 league titles on the spin. 2 Champions League finals. Most decorated Juve manager. Go and get him. Mancini, available. Maurizio Sarri, available. Instead of looking at these fucking, give him more money, he needs his pieces. We're finished. Yeah, Pellegrini could be available and he's in a final. Yeah, my point is, and I'll land on this and shut up. Yeah, the fact and reality is, I don't think people realise how fucked we are going forward. With the wage bill, with the injury list, yeah, with the major injuries. We all knew that Timber was injured. We all knew that. We've been saying it for months, lads. Yeah, we all knew that Saliba was injured. We've been saying it for months. We all knew Rice. We've been saying it for months. Every single player that's got injured this season, we've called it months in advance. Why? Because we're not stupid. We've watched football 30, 40, 50 years. Yeah, the fact and reality is this guy has run our best players into the ground, spent an absolute king's ransom, yeah, on players, overpaid players because we got no fucking pool, and he didn't learn his badges. Pepe Reina has just left FC Como as their keeper. He's going to the fucking youth team of Villarreal as their manager. Why isn't he just getting the first team job? Why? Because he's learning the right way. Our manager managed 1 game before he got this job. It's no coincidence he ain't won fuck all.
There we go. We'll finish on that. Let me finish on these super chats as well. Bish Wadeep says, facts, 1 in 20-something trophies, bottling top 4 in the league, Havertz signing, not stepping up when it matters, weak exits from Europe, dismal domestic cup record, 1-0, even without injuries. Wow, big up to you, bro. Fair play to you. Trophies would be nice. This one's for Christian, says, is Arteta a top 5 manager in the world?
No.
Okay, I think that's fair. And this one is, let me tell you why late positions doesn't matter. If Tottenham win tomorrow, they get to play the same amount of games as us in the league and the Champions League, plus an extra game that could win them an extra cup. Please, let's not allow that to happen. Please.
John Fredia, my G, you know. That's my guy. Bless up, you brother.
Please, let's make sure they don't win this bloody cup, man.
Oh,
Madrid already on it with transfers after a trophyless season. We need to get these deals done ASAP. That's how a big club operates. Do you know what? That's one thing I'm looking at, is to get these things done early. Snake Eye says any striker that comes in needs to know they're going to spend half the time defending. The flair in their game will be removed and replaced with positional play. He needs to let them loose. That is something we need to go back to, is that 22-23 season. I actually enjoyed watching Arsenal. Since then, it's been quite tough, if I'm honest with you. This one comes in from Gianni. He says, there's no other coach that's been given that much leeway in any major sport. Only Arsenal allows a manager to get to that much power. Simone's there because Athletic were really in the mud. No sport in the USA does this either. What's interesting is the Nuggets geezer was sacked in the end, and they brought someone in, apparently, Andrea Berta. Type guy, from what I hear. I don't watch USA Sports, but that could be the beginning of the end for Mikel if that is the case. And they're going to
Zagreb are on their 6th manager this season, by the way, and they're top of the league.
Bloody hell, that's insane, really.
It's that Cannavaro. They've had 3 or 4 interims, and they're top of the league, mate. And they were about 3rd or 4th all the way through. The new manager's come in and got top 2 games to go.
Zagreb, isn't it?
Only in England can they say that 800 million spent is a bad owner. Mikel has chosen to not sign a striker. Money was freed up. If Arsenal spent another 200 million, they could buy Inter Milan. Oh my God. That's absolutely mad. Matty, Southern Gooner, big up to you, my bro. Make sure it doesn't get blurry, says Mikel. Any other team I've seen with one injury to finish in 8th, 5th, 16th, 17th. What my team has done is, in my opinion, incredible. Quotations from Arteta. I found that to be really an arrogant thing to say, if I'm honest with you, personally. Like we're supposed to be down in like 16th or something. Come on, Mikel, really? Sally says, Edwards is flying to America to meet the owner to have the fee approved. We're moving serious. This is without sales. Frimpong, Kirkes, and 3 more. Should we talk about Liverpool? They've got Mamadashvili coming in. Kirkes left back. Frimpong looks like he's on his way and has pretty much signed at right back. It looks as if they're going to go all out for Adam Wharton and Florian Wirtz, and they're linked with Sesko today. That is 6 players that would win Liverpool the league comfortably again next season. So let's make sure that we actually act as well, because if we stand still, they're going to win that league quite comfortably. And I'm talking about City, Chelsea, Newcastle, and all the others as well, not just Arsenal. Look, people, we're going to redirect you to Lee, or I believe is going live. Is that right, Lee?
Hey, come on, man. Work rate.
Love that. I'm going to send you all over there. Mate, shout out what you have got coming up, Christian, and how people can follow you, bro.
Instagram, Oli Christian Thai. Christian Thai Sports on TikTok. I don't really post too much on there anymore, but yeah, if you want to check out some stuff, just search my name pretty much.
Love that, man. Love that. Big up for coming on, man. It's all love, and I know that you don't always agree with us, but that's why I like getting you on, because you chuck in some different opinions. It's all good.
No, it's always a pleasure, man. But come on, get someone else's. On my side next time.
Well, they didn't want it. At least you turned up, bro. At least you turned up. Nobody wanted it.
Turned up, Christian. Come on, at least you're here, innit? That's the main
thing. Look, we all support the same team. We all want Arsenal to win, but
yeah,
opinions.
They all want to turn up when we beat Madrid. Nobody wants to turn up now, innit? Yeah, at least you turned up. Respect to that.
Miguel couldn't wait to get on when we beat Madrid. I've got to be honest.
Hey, Hooks was gagging for the fucking second leg fucking watch along link.
Yeah.
Yeah, PSG second leg, he didn't want no part of it.
Yeah.
Funny that.
No, look, I normally try and balance the panel up a bit better, but Gal let me down tonight. So you blame
Marty, where was Marty?
And Marty, yeah, blame these people, man.
After he got air fried last week, he didn't want it anymore.
That was unbelievable, that show. I'll tell you that.
That was funny.
Big up to DJ. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Yeah.
What you got coming up?
I've got. I'm doing a show with Kenny Ken. I've just started my new channel, the Arsenal Huddle. So you can check that out by all means. And then I do obviously stuff with Lee on a Monday regular. And yeah, man, just round the streams. And thanks for having me on again, Dan. Much appreciated. Really enjoyed it as usual, sharing the panel. So yeah, All good, man. All good.
Love that, man. Now, come on, you're always welcome, DJ. Make sure everyone goes and follows DJ on the Arsenal Huddle then now, please, people. Now that the channel is up and running, let's get some people over there.
All you mods that beg to be mods, get his link.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Do your homework.
Do your homework. Let's get an Arsenal Huddle up there so people can get the link up there, man, and subscribe. Come on, people. Give DJ B some love, man. He's a top bloke. Kenny, what you got coming up, man?
Oh, yeah, it's just basically, I think the Deluded Gooners wants a piece of me. And then obviously on Friday with DJB. And obviously tomorrow I'm cheering. I'm a Man United. Well, I'm not a Man United fan.
Don't, Kenny, wash your mouth out with soap.
Let me tell you something. Let me say now. Under no circumstances do I want Spurs winning anything.
Oh, please, don't.
I don't. I want Man United to absolutely thrash them. I'll cheer a Man United goal. Sorry, Spurs fans, but I'm not having you. You already got more trophies than us in Europe. I don't want you to have a fourth one. You know what I mean? So for me, yeah, it's just. And then obviously, I think some of you know what's happening Thursday. That I'm having a day off for obvious reasons, and. Yeah, and then looking forward to the Champions League final next week. I'll be watching walls of football. And sorry, guys, Christian, England. I got Zimbabwe in the cricket. In the Test match starts this week. So if anyone likes a bit of cricket, get yourself and watch England versus Zimbabwe. And if you like the women's cricket, tomorrow the West Indies play England in the one-day international T20.
I've got a bit of Essex cricket to watch in the blast.
I'm a Middlesex fan, so I'm a Middlesex fan, so I like to watch Middlesex cricket.
Yeah, got the cricket.
And the three people, apart from myself and DJ B, which is Lee, Christian, and Dan, has gone all over their heads.
Yeah,
I like a bit of cricket. I don't mind watching some cricket.
Yeah, get over
rugby.
I always say to Kenny that cricket is a cure for insomnia, mate. That's what I think it is.
You're watching Arsenal, Dan.
It's a good Friday night at the blast, man.
I mean, to be fair, I've been to watch
it's a good day out, like watching Arsenal beat Madrid 5-1.
It's a good day. It's a good day out.
I'll tell you one thing. A day's play of Test cricket, I recommend to anyone.
Ignore him. He's waffling. You can play 5 days. It ends a draw. What are we doing there?
Yeah, I know. I must say it goes on and on for me too long. But there we go.
2020 cricket's all right, but Test cricket now, get out. 5 days it ends a draw. Oh, we're going for luncheon now. Prawn sandwiches. It
goes on about it goes on about as long as Mikel Arteta's process, mate. That's what it goes on. Let me tell you that. But listen, big up to you, man. Lee, we're going to redirect to you, man. So obviously, make sure you go and follow Lee Reacts and Lee Gunner. Going to send you over there now. And we're going to get out of here, people, and go get some shots.
Thanks for watching.
In a bit. Laters.
Cronky out.